Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NASCAR Day. We are here for another beautiful day above Chicago, Illinois. For AMX Zero, part of the AMX Global League Season 3. We are racing the Chicago Street Circuit in NASCAR 7th generation cars, or next gen, whatever you want to call them. Next gen sounds fancier. And here we are in the heart of the Chicago Business District for some racing. And it's not just me. I am joined by Amir for today's NASCAR races. Amir, you look like a NASCAR kind of... How's it going today, buddy?
I might come from a continental background, you might say, watching Formula 1 and all that, but I do fancy a bit of NASCAR from time to time, especially when opening day in Daytona, for example. Yeah, I watched those, the twin 125 races and then the actual 500 itself. And of course, some select races for the entire season, but this one is a bit different because it's a street race, and normally NASCARs don't do street races, but here we are. What started as a fictional circuit became real, and the Chicago Street Course became pretty much part of the actual schedule. So I'm looking forward to this, Reed.
Yeah, you know, racing fans love nothing more than creating crazy imaginary street tracks, and then they become real, and you realize, oh wait, what did I ask for? And NASCAR is a little bit different from other racing leagues in that it's not. There's very polarizingly different tracks and track setups, and even track drivers. There are drivers that are contracted with NASCAR teams specifically to race road courses, which means they're more like, I don't know if you want to call them traditional drivers, but it's as opposed to oval, right? And so today we're racing a lot of NASCARs, but on a wide variety of courses. Of course, starting out in Chicago, a race that I think was by far the most hyped NASCAR race this year, and has really delivered a great NASCAR experience. So I'm excited to try things out today in the NASCAR Next Gens on Chicago Street Course. And, we're going to have some drivers join us. Just got a couple of messages from more people hopping on. If you would like to join us for today's NASCAR shenanigans, you can head on over to amxrace.com, hop in your sim rig, and come out. It's free to join, so no problems there. Just go to amxrace.com, click on the... link to the day's races. It's right on the front page. You guys will get the idea of it pretty quickly. So we'd love to see you come out and race with us. And if you're watching this in retrospect, well, you know you missed out. And so if you don't want to miss out, amxrace.com is the place. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on this season, and we'll just do this pretty quickly. $25,000 on the line. We're running a 3-month tournament until December 10th. Although it does go a little bit later than that due to some of the more recent changes, which we'll have announcements for. You can check the Discord and our website for those announcements. We do have the most races in a year, 72 total races, and a lot more coming up your way, so plenty of time to get involved. And the race format is as follows. Qualifier, Heat 1, Heat 2, all 15 minutes, with a top 15 reverse grid in between to keep things a little bit interesting. And that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles this season. Final little bits of housekeeping. You got a camera, turn it on, you'll get an extra $1 in AMX Zero, and of course is required for the Premier Tier AMX 10 later on. We pay out balances over $100 every month, and it's not that hard to do. If you race over the course of a regular season, you're probably going to get there. And we're racing Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday in Americas like this. 6:50 start and 8:20 start for AMX 10 on the weekends. We're racing right around noontime, with AMX 10 coming about an hour and a half later. And if you are in Europe, this is what your time schedule looks like. It's around midnight for AMX Zero on Thursday, and it's in the afternoons, evenings on the weekend. Saturday, Sunday starts at about 6 p.m. Hour and a half later will be AMX 10, racing at 7:20 p.m. in Europe. Here's a look at what we are racing for. Don't pay too much attention to the numbers. Suffice it to say, we got about $100 on the line every single day. And that means that depending on where you place in qualifier, Heat 1, Heat 2, we pay out for each section. So you're really getting accurate value based on your performance in the race. Pay out to the top 15, so you're probably going to be in there, especially if we have less than 15 racers. You're just in there by default. So it's a pretty good setup, and that's what you can expect to race for today and every other day in AMX Zero this season. The AMX Zero season champion is not just racing for money, also a pride, prestige, and a GT Light Pro from our friends at Next Level Racing, manufacturers of fine sim racing cockpits out there. We do appreciate them partnering with us this season to level up the competition, and the prize for the AMX Zero champion, a GT Light Pro, going his way, and that is thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing. The AMX Zero Top 12 looks like this. Corentin Guinness, Jackson Senjay, and Gerardo Ramos up in the top 3. And it goes down to the bottom 12, and you can see some consistency here, right? Jackson Senjay has 22 races raced. That's a lot. He's been out here very consistently, and it shows. He's winning money almost all the time, and it's putting up a big score of $172 this season. And even down towards the other end of the signage, $75, still not bad. Facundo Rago picking that up with just 17 races raced for him. So you want to get your name up on the billboard, sign up to race at amxrace.com. Average winnings functions a little bit like a power rankings. This is based on how many times you come out, averaged against how much money you win every time. And so you might expect to see low numbers like Jamie Christensen. This guy shows up, cashes in at $9, and pieces out. On the other hand, you got guys like Corentin Guinness, who's raced 18 times and has put up impressive feats every time. 1383 puts him at the top of the standings for the average winnings for AMX Zero in Season 3. And that's a look at the average winnings, the power rankings. Corentin Guinness up at the top, and we got a lot more to talk about for that when we come to AMX 10. But for now, that's what it looks like, and that means it's time to go ahead and start talking about what and where we're racing. It's going to be a great day of NASCAR races. Amir, how are we starting things out?
Well, Reed, we're starting out here today at the Chicago Street Circuit. Just opened this year, but of course, the circuit was already in development for the last couple of years, and it was in iRacing before it became a real circuit. So that's kind of like a first in a way, because normally you'll have the circuits come to iRacing when it's real, but it is the converse thing that happened here. So a 3.5 kilometer long circuit, or I don't know how to convert it in miles. Maybe it's about 1.5 mile circuit, 2.2 miles in fact. So my conversion just got there in the end. Yeah, really tight, really frenetic, and this year's race provided exciting racing towards the last lap, especially when Shane Van Gisbergen won.
Yeah, SVG, a legend on street tracks, as his European heritage might belie, and he's just a great racer, made for a great track, and really cool to see it in iRacing before you get to watch it in real life. Really, really awesome track, and I think you'll get a chance to see why once we throw the cars down on it. So which cars are we racing today, Amir?
Of course, fittingly, Reed, it's the NASCAR Next Generation Cup cars, the 7th generation of the NASCAR Universal Shell that they use for the Cup Series. 670 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, of course, no front wheel, 4-wheel, these things. 1.5 tons, and first time ever sequential gearbox. So there used to be a normal H pattern, but now it's a pull and push type of gearbox in these cars. So that's why they're actually more ergonomic compared to previous generation of NASCAR Cup cars. Of course, 3 manufacturers involved: Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. So at least there's a wide variety of shells to choose from. But still, on the street circuit, these cars are not too bad. So no wonder that Shane Van Gisbergen can adapt well, because they're kind of like V8 supercars in a way.
Yeah, I like the comparison to V8 supercars. They are just supercars. Nothing too fancy. We don't have giant spoilers, diffusers, wings anywhere. It's just a straight up car that goes real fast. Also, one of my favorite parts about NASCAR is not just their incredible ability to turn left, but the ability to actually do things with the car. It's not super fragile. You can actually get in there, get racing, get physical, and it's going to be okay. You're going to have a safe chance at coming out on top. Now, that does mean that when things do go bad, they go really bad, so that can be a downside of it. But as we hop into qualifying, we are going to get a trip around the Chicagoland circuit here in the downtown central business district. And I just love watching this, because it really is that fantasy that you had as a kid, right? if you played like old school Project Cars, some of the old Lego games, you build this huge city and then you're just racing around it, and it gives you this sense of like adventure. Speaking of adventures, we're adventuring into the sidewall barrier there, and we might see that quite a few times today because it is a very different style of NASCAR track to go through, and it does have some corners that are a little bit heinous.
Yeah, especially given the fact that this circuit literally goes over some of the more iconic landmarks in the Chicago area, including there's actually a railway like that I just saw during one of the overhead shots. So that's something I didn't know about on this circuit. So it's crazy how this circuit just snakes around the central area, or they call it the Chicago Loop, but they can still make a circuit out of it, and quite a decent one at that.
Indeed it is. And so let's hop on board with Pedro Mora, who's going to show us what it's like to drive a NASCAR Next Gen car around this track. You can actually see a really, really good amount of handling here. It's not so much about even how you drive on the track, but once you line up on the grid, it can get really physical. So it's kind of weird to see like lap qualifiers here, because it's going to be such a different experience than once we actually go racing with the drivers side by side, and it'll give you an idea for what we can expect from the top speeds. Although we do seem to have quite a bit of difficulty here from our racers. Even guys like Jackson Desenje finding themselves in the walls, in the barriers. And it's NASCAR, so you can afford to get up close and personal to the walls a little bit. But yeah, I think our drivers, suffice it to say, maybe still feeling things out a little bit.
Yeah, and they're quite happy not to be on the oval for these cars, especially IRL, because there have been some injuries with the real-world drivers when these cars smack the barrier. So somehow, despite the sturdiness of these cars, it has proven to be a bit too stiff. So that's why the drivers have suffered some unwanted injuries IRL. But luckily for them, our drivers in this one, they're virtual and they're not going to get hurt from whacking these cars into barriers, unless of course they turn out the force feedback unnecessarily.
Yeah, now this is the first time, I believe it's the first time, we're highlighting NASCAR Next Gen cars in AMX. We had this earlier this season. It's my amnesia kicking in.
We did, but...
Yeah, you're right. But it was actually like 25,000 years ago. I think it was like 4 months ago? 3 months ago. 25,000 years. Anyway, my point is, these are a little bit different than your grandfather's NASCAR cars. They got a little bit of a higher downforce package. The aero is a little bit better, and overall they are much more modern. A little bit cheaper to make, but we don't care about that in iRacing because they are just the same price to buy on the service. So you buy yourself a car, you get in there, and you're going to notice that it actually does handle quite a bit better than if you played a lot of the other NASCAR games in previous eras. These are the pinnacle of NASCAR racing on one of the newest tracks out there, so it's a good combo for us today.
Indeed, and the other feature is the fact that they are running much bigger, low-profile tires as they call it, but that means it's bigger rims, so the handling characteristics of these cars have changed slightly compared to previous generation NASCAR. So that's why on a street course or on a road course, rather, when they normally race on, they're actually much more nimble compared to previous gen cars, but still, it's not, in terms of weight, still as heavy as the previous one. So that's why these cars, despite them handling nicer than before, is still quite a handful. But drivers like Shane Van Gisbergen can make it work, especially when he comes from a background where the cars are heavy and they're quite chuckable anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I always like to see like interdisciplined drivers who have experience from maybe rallycross, maybe hill climb. You get a lot of different variety in your experiences, especially if you're coming from like karting straight into this. That's a big jump. Or if you are more of like an open wheel racer, what street tracks are like, but then you have to jump into a NASCAR. So that can actually be quite a bit of a learning curve, as you're seeing on your screen from a lot of our drivers. I think Desenje has some history doing this, so I would expect perhaps the best time from him. But it is going to be a little bit of a who's who of some of the racers that you see every day, just trying to do what they do every day in a little bit of a new way, and new cars, new tracks, and yeah, there we go, feeling it out a little bit. Although I will say we have newcomer Tim State joining us once again. to show us what maybe the lone American can accomplish in one of the most American forms of racing.
Absolutely. And he can probably show the way of how it's done to the South Americans who are here, though. They have their own version of stock car. They call it, of course, stock car Brazil in Brazil. But those aren't necessarily stock cars in the way, in every sense of the word. They're more towards being touring cars, but just high powered. These are completely different beasts, of course. V8, same engine configuration, but it's just more raw power in the NASCARs.
Got a green sector here for Jackson Asenge as we hop on board with Tim State. Let's see what his sectors look like here in just a second. And I do want to see kind of what we are looking for from our iRacers. Now, keep in mind, this is an oval, so we'd have different iRating for ovals, so it's not necessarily going to be exactly what you can expect from the same experience as you would get, representing your street track knowledge, or your. Okay, so this is your street track ELO, right, or iRating, not your oval iRating, which we'll get into a little bit later on. I'm excited to see what the difference is because obviously it is quite a bit different discipline, and so you get a chance to make a snapshot, right? So you get a snapshot here. Check out, okay, well, what's happening, and as you can see from what's happening, this is still a little bit of a learning curve from a lot of our racers.
Indeed, and some drivers have found the wall more than the gray stuff, so that goes to show that they're really pushing right now and trying to find the extremities of the circuit to gain the lap time. And speaking of gaining a lap time, Rashende has actually just gotten a bit faster here, 27.3. I think not that far off from the IRL times here when NASCAR came to the Chicago. Here's a spotlight on Rashende, incidentally, driving for Texaco Esports by Tony Kanaan, a 27-year-old from Brazil. So, fittingly, Kanaan didn't race NASCARs, but how Kanaan would love to do that if he had the opportunity, don't you think, Reed?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's what a guy like Jackson Asenge can represent here. What it might have looked like had TK come up and raced a little bit of NASCAR. You know, I'm always curious. I really wish, and maybe you can do this in some of the weird games like maybe F1 Manager or something like that. The idea that if you put any racer from everywhere, I want to know how would Alberto Ascari do in NASCAR coming up against the Martin Truex or something. You get the generational matchups, right? So, a man can dream, but for right now, we don't get a chance to see that. We're just watching guys like Jackson Asenge put up a 127.3 in these next-gen cars. And where does that stack up against what we've seen earlier? Well, for NASCAR Cup cars, SVG put up a best lap time of 129 when he was out here in his Chevy Camaro. So, I'm optimistic. Let's see what we can see as the times get a little bit lower. And they should be a little bit all over the place because we have 6 drivers out there. So that's really going to limit kind of the spread. We'll see what the outliers look like today. As we do still have quite a few green circuits as our drivers really kind of warm things up and get a feel for what is, like you said, a little bit of a newer track.
Absolutely. A new track for a lot of people coming from a non-NASCAR background, no less, so it will be quite alien to them. But again, sim racers just can't adapt to anything. Well, apart from Kazuko today, he was trying to adapt to the brakes. You can just adapt to any car and track combo and just go with it. So that's a kind of job description that is given to sim racers.
The job description of sim racers. I feel like the job description for sim racers in AMX is a little bit different than in other leagues. In AMX, you really do have to be very versatile. Like we're doing F3 races, we're doing NASCAR races, we're doing what are some of the others? We get to TCRs and Clio Cup cars, and then we have the V8 supercars. So a little bit of everything all over the place. We got sports car, GT3s, Le Mans, like everything under the sun. And I like it. It's a little bit chaotic, but it does really stress test our driver skills and give you an idea of who is truly the most versatile. Yeah, that's a poignant exclamation point to my point.
Well, a great summary of it, no less. as Resende now has actually gone even faster, 26.9. So he's actually way faster than the real world lap times that we're seeing on the circuit. Especially with Danny Hamlin, who did 28.4. So I'm not sure how that will convert to miles per hour, but it is actually probably one of the slowest circuits on the NASCAR calendar.
Yeah, for once we don't have to convert to kilometers. We don't even know what those are. This is America Day, so it's strictly miles. Otherwise, yeah, WTF you're talking about. So for Kyle Gaspar, he sets the second best time as we hop on board to see what he's doing. He does have a purple sector in there, so that's not bad. We'll see if he can improve. Sitting on a 114 on track for a 126. Let's see what this looks like. 126.9 is the time to beat for Hasenje up in number 1. As he climbs through the end of his third sector, Kyle Gaspar, he could be doing it. Green comes up. It's a 126.97 or 127 at the end. So he does not improve to that first place. And actually, Hasenje is headed back to the pits. He is he may be clocking out. He's put up a pretty good time, good enough for a provisional pole. As we close into the last few seconds here, it's about a minute and a half to get around the circuit, and so you will need that much qualifying time. And we're coming down to the end, Amir.
Yep, and this is where we call in football, soccer terms, squeaky bum time. So they really gotta keep it clean here for the next couple of minutes to really go and get the fastest time of the qualifying session, as we have a spotlight on Caio Vinicius Gaspar, to be precise. That's his full name, from Energy Sim Sport, the 34-year-old from Brazil, and incidentally driving a NASCAR colored car with a Monster Energy. That's quite famous in the series, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is, Amir. For me, seeing the iconic liveries, you get a lot more of those when it comes to open wheel car racing, or some of the like Hoonigan liveries that are out there. A lot of really cool sights to see, but we don't get to see the NASCAR ones come out all that often. So I'm glad that we get a chance to represent the other side. Of motorsports. So cool to see Vinicius Gaspar. I'm just gonna call him Vinicius. What a sick name. I think there's another guy named Vinicius Dean out here. I don't know if that's just like the popular name down there or something, but it's pretty good. So, big fan. Either way, he's doing pretty well, up enough for P2. And he's got one more flyer left in the tank for the remainder of this qualifying session. So, as we close things out, we'll get a chance to see if he can improve. Looks like there are still some improvements out there. Casacerda has got a green sector, so does Pedro Mora. And, I really want to see what Gaspar's final lap is going to look like. This is where it all comes down to the wire. Pedro Mora sets a 130, and with only 1 minute left, he does not have enough time to complete another lap. Big spin there from Casacerda, so he is going to stay down there at the bottom at a 139. And I was talking to Casacerda a little bit earlier on today, and he was saying, I don't know, should I race on the street track? Should I try this NASCAR Next Gen thing? He's not extremely experienced out here, but I was like, hey, it's a really cool circuit. You should check it out. And so he was like, all right, fine. Bought the circuit, got the car, coming out for today's races, and so you get a chance to see the entire gamut of just the accessibility of AMX Global, where you can just hop on and race anything, anytime, or some of the drivers that are actually very experienced, like Jackson Hasenje, who is able to come out here and put up some really competitive numbers through our 15 minutes of qualifying. And coming down to the end, it certainly appears like he'll be sticking on that pole unless Caio Gaspar can really put the pedal to the metal. Let's see what State can do. Is he going to make it across the line in time? No, he will not. And that means that these are the final times, Amir.
Indeed, as we look at the CS Tower in the background there, that's a really a nice rendition of the town itself. I didn't know that the cameras in iRacing go that deep to look at the rest of the scenery, but it looks as though Caio Gaspar with the fastest time here. Second fastest time behind Jackson Resende by almost half a second. A Brazilian one too, but Resende, he got his qualifying laps in early, and that's why he has managed to just eke out that advantage from the beginning and just really consolidated it throughout the session.
Consolidation. Yep. Rafael Casacerda pulls up with 12 seconds back, so you can see, definitely still learning. We've got numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 22. You couldn't have run one today, Diego? Really? Trying to make a full house here. But this is Chicago, not Vegas, so I guess we can't have everything. Jackson Asensio puts it on pole. Kyle Gaspar, Villarreal, Mora State, Casa Curta is what you're looking at today. And I love that we even have like the big TV screens showing action from the other races that have taken place somewhere. I'm not sure where those are from, but here we are. Downtown Chicago is where we're going to be racing for AMX Zero Heat number 1. So let's go ahead and start things off. It will be a rolling start for both of our races here today. So we're hopping behind the pace car to get a trip around the Chicago street circuit to show us what we have in store and also to get things warmed up and ready to go for our first of 2 heats of the day.
Yep, and we flip the grid on its head here with Casa Curta now up in front with on board with the only American on grid, Tim State, and how he will love now to get a whole shot into turn number 1. He'll have the advantage though because he'll be on the inside coming to the first corner, so we're really interesting to see what he can do here. As in fact, he will be around the outside, so he'll be at a disadvantage. Let's see if we could get a good run off the start for the start of the race.
Yep, and by far the best part about NASCAR is just listening to the engines rev. And as the pace car gets ready to head on out of here, we are going to start to hear that, and that'll be your signal to go racing for first of 10 races today. Should take us about a minute and a half to get around the track, so multiply that by 10. You got your 15 minutes, and it's going to be an exciting race to watch as, it's not your normal NASCAR edge. It's just, a few racers getting out here to show us what they got. And I love the sort of like bad boys architecture here as we look at the way that we're lining up on the grid. After a reverse grid from qualifiers, we see Casa Curta State in front. Row 2 of the grid is Diego Villarreal and Pedro Mora with Jackson Asensio and Caio Gaspar from Tony Kanaan Racing Brazil. Will be in the back for now, but something tells me that they may not stay there for very much longer. And as we start to thin out here, we are about to go racing, and it's going to be an exciting start to our first taste of NASCAR today. We've got more NASCAR coming up on the iconic Talladega. I don't think we have a night race on Talladega, otherwise it would be Talladega Nights, but maybe I'll put that request in for next season so we can get some more thematic, iconic consistency here in AMX. And it looks like we are... Oh, go ahead, Amir. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, of course, it would be even better if someone had a Wonder Bread car in there.
We should mandate that livery. It's gonna look good. All right. I mean, we do have some nice ones. We got purple or pink. I'm actually I like colorblind for purple or pink, Amir. Like I'm pretty sure that's pink. But if you ask me on pain of death what color that is, I would be screwed. So here we go. It's time, Amir. We are ready to cross across the grid and get things started for our first of 10 laps around the Chicago street circuit. A little bit of a lockup coming around the corner, and that's already a physicality straight into the wall. Dents on the front, but it should still be able to run. Still stuck in the back there is Tim State as he goes last to first almost instantly. And the reverse is true for Jackson Asensio, who boosts the Rockets from 6th to 3rd instantly on the first corner of the first lap of 10 here today. So I don't know if he's going to warrant a pit. Pitting might be a little bit more effective given that there are 6 cars here. But let's see what it looks like as we climb up the roster with Jackson Asensio, Pedro Mora on a big drive with Villarreal seemingly dropping out. Did you see what happened there, Amir?
I don't think he even had any contact, in fact. So somehow he's dropped out of this race as Resende tries to pull one on the inside. Casa Curta there, stayed into the barriers once again. He didn't have the best of starts anyway. And there goes Resende around the outside, taking the lead towards the end of the first lap. So Casa Curta not having the best of starts despite being on pole position.
Yeah, he did get the pole position, and now he just has to keep it. So he's in second with a pretty good gap. But, I mean, 3/10 is not that much for Caio Gaspar, who should be, if qualifiers are any indication, one of the fastest racers out here on the track today. So we do have a really competitive midfield pack here. Battling back and forth alongside. Casa Curta keeps it. Wow, really impressive, but he did go wide in the turn, and that's going to give Caio Gaspar the angle he needs. Pedal to the metal, he's speeding on through. He will have the angle for the next curve, and I think it's going to be his. Comes around the outside, there's the momentum, and sweeps it into the corner, and should floor it on into that second spot, and away he goes.
Villarreal has unfortunately disconnected for now, but he'll definitely be back for heat number 2 as Mora follows. Gaspar pursuit in third place. So at least we have 2, 3, 4. Now it's 5 and 6 because State's on the inside. So we got our ducks in a row here, Reed.
Crucially enough, and I feel like I should mention that, especially for our smaller races, you do have to complete a certain percentage of the track in order to be counted as racing. We had some issues with this last season, and essentially the way it works is that if you do not complete the majority of the laps as a percentage of the final lap time, or the final race time of the winners, then you do not get credit. You get a DNF, and you don't get points for racing on the track. So I don't know if Diego's out there watching. Maybe had a freak tornado in the middle of his house, and his Simreg is now racing at 10,000 feet. Either way, we do hope he gets back in here, and he is out of the pit exit, so he is back and under power, ready to go for the rest of the race. And, who knows? We could have some craziness happen, but for right now, it seems like a little bit of single-player action as Senjay has climbed up to that first-place spot with Kyle Gaspar about 6 seconds back. And, unless there are truly miracles happening tonight, Amir, this might be a look at what our final standings look like, although we do have 7 laps to go.
Yeah, we're not even at the halfway point yet, Reed, so a lot can still happen in between that period, but it's quite nice to see a Noah's Ark arrangement of the cars based on their car numbers, so at least they got that particular bit sorted out. For the time being, at least, it's quite spread out, so it's to be expected when a couple of shunts happen in between the drivers when they try to overtake. Apart from that, so far so good, especially for Jackson Resendi up in front. He's gonna lap Diego Villarreal.
I'm watching Villarreal's lap time. Amir, as we watch them drive around this beautiful circuit, you ever notice how there's this like assumption with commentary that like, oh, here let's watch the race start here. Thank God for our production team. Production MVPs. All right, so you're seeing a lock up in the back, and this is why Jackson Senjay has a 6-second lead. He just got out there, better start than everybody else, and he doesn't have to put up with whatever's going on here. This is NASCAR racing at its finest, especially here. Oh, look at the light play, the rosterization, the what do you call that? The light vectors glancing off. So beautiful. Either way. Yeah, you see the purple car booster rocket into the distance. 7.5 seconds now for Jackson Senjay as he is well and truly gone. But yeah, that altercation means that the back of the pack is having a little bit of a rougher time. And as we compare the first and second lap times, I think you'll get a chance to see exactly what I was talking about with the Senjay putting up, second a lap faster, 1 second per sector faster than the next fastest guy on the track, Kyle Gaspar.
And Gaspar has to deal with Villarreal as a back mark after this, so that's not going to help his pursuit of Resenjay any better here. Now we're going back to Gaspar. Still hasn't met Villarreal just yet, but he'll be happy to settle for second, but not doing more of that. He doesn't want to whack too much of the barriers, otherwise he might throw out a toe link or suspension arm that would just make the car crabby, so he just needs to keep it going the right direction and just settle for a podium here today for the first heat.
And truly, I think that for today's race is really the order of the day. It's how do you keep it, pointed forward. And after watching qualifiers, that may be a little bit harder than you might imagine. And truly, if you are looking at this race and you're thinking, well, that doesn't look that hard. I have that car. I have that track. I can come out here and do that. Tell your friends. If you know somebody that does have this, that is good at this, get them out here. And when we go out racing in this car track combo, they're going to be uniquely prepared to come take the kids' lunch money. But I mean, obviously, for right now, you are seeing a kind of a spread of drivers, from drivers who are still learning, guys like Casacerda and Villarreal, or guys like Jackson Senjay and Kyle Gaspar, who are pro drivers on a pro team and making it look like it as they head out onto the track and put up amazing performances. Although I will say, I don't know if we've seen a 10-second victory this season, Amir.
Yeah, we haven't had a dominance this evidence, especially given the fact that how close the field can be. So Resende might be on here for a season high 10-second margin at the line for the victory. So wait and see how far he can pull up, because we're only now into the halfway stage of this race. So half the race gone, half the race to go for these guys, and still half the torture that they need to get this out of the way first as well.
The torture, I think, primarily leveled at the cars as they do continue to have some near brushes coming around the corner there. I think that almost touched the barrier. Jackson Assange, he's going on a Sunday drive. He is way up there. And as we focus on what he looks like in the future, he is, sitting pretty with now an over 10-second lead over Kyle Gaspar. This is what dominant racing looks like. And you can imagine Jackson Assange is waking up this morning, he's thinking to himself, okay, time for NASCAR. So he gets out there, he practices, and you're like, oh, wait, I forgot I'm actually like really good at this. So I think it's cool to see somebody that is just that good. And you can learn from watching it, the way he takes the corner, what his setup looks like, how he's handling this race. It's great to learn from watching somebody do what, if you want to do, then, now's the time to learn. Although, speaking of learning, Casacerda is out of here. He's back in the pit lane. So I don't know if he's coming back and trying to do like a fastest lap gimmick or what's going on. But eventually, Diego Villarreal will pass him. So he does need to get back out there.
Well, actually, he is heading out back out there. As you can see, he's trundling around pit lane. Oh, he's just about coming to his box. Yeah, the car was slowing a bit. Now he's getting it. Or might have been a penalty as well, for all we know. It was just touch and go. Villarreal then will still be a minute and a half further behind. So he's, in fact, 59 seconds behind. So he's on the same lap as Villarreal somehow, despite being away for a couple of laps. He's just been given at least half a chance to gain one position.
It's 45 seconds, half a chance. Although, actually, look at the times. Diego Villarreal is like so much faster. Yeah, if you look at actually the times, man, I was just thinking about myself. I was like, I wish production would set the sector time for Casacerda and Villarreal, and there it is at the bottom of the screen. So actually, not bad. Not bad. Good job, guys. It looks pretty good for Casacerda, but let's watch these numbers drop here as Diego Villarreal, I think he finally realizes, oh, wait a second, I got something to race for now. 14 seconds faster Sector 1 by Villarreal. And obviously that's because Casacerda was coming out of the pit lane, but I don't know if this Sector 2 looks the same way. We might have a race on our hands, Amir.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised that Villarreal might actually still be on the same lap as Casacerda. So either Casacerda dropped the ball big time to be further behind, or Villarreal somehow managed to gain back the lap that he lost while he was trying to reconnect back into the race. But either way, 26 seconds in the next few laps may be possible if Casacerda still is not up to speed yet, Reed.
Down to 25. Yeah, it's getting closer. And I mean the lead at 10 seconds is holding, and really there's nothing else out there. And it's a little bit telling, Amir, that the gap that we're talking about the most, the one that's closing, is 24 seconds. So yeah. I mean, we do have 2 more laps to do it in, but unless you really got to put the NOS down, it's looking like this could be a glimpse of our final standings. Fingers crossed there's no like magical spin out here that costs like 25 seconds or something. But all things told, it is still a fastest lap there up at the top, 126.8, kind of rare to see. Oh man, look at that. It's a one stopper for Casa. I don't know why we have that stat, but cool. I actually think one of those stops for Casacerda was a penalty, so I don't know if that counts as a stop. I mean, I guess it does, but yeah, either way, nice to know that our NASCAR cars don't need to be refueled for running 10 laps. And
if Casacerda would say run off into the escape road, he'll be happy to know that these cars actually have a reverse gear, so 5-speed gearbox incidentally, because normally it's a 4-speed gearbox in normal NASCARs. Now it's 5 sequential that goes forwards and 1 reverse gear, so there's 6 gears in this car. But I'm not saying that it might happen to Casacerda, but you never know. It could happen on the street circuit. We saw in qualifying how they were pushing it, and these guys are still pushing it even after 8 laps or so coming into the end of this first heat.
We're coming to the end of this first heat, Amir, which means that there's limited time left for our production to change the speed from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. This is NASCAR in America, and I really feel like that does a disservice. It's ruining my immersion. I don't even know what that is. If they want to express the amount of speed here in like eagles per hamburger, I feel like that might be the best way to represent how fast our cars are going. And they are going fast. NJ putting up a time, like I said earlier, that is faster than his qualifier time. Although with an 11-second lead, I think this might be a little bit like glorified qualifier for him also. And there is reverse grid in effect, so we still get a chance to see what that looks like once we swap things around. And with 1 lap to go, we'll see that all too soon.
I like how we had a straight up no in our ears. Our producer was just talking that we can't change it to miles per hour. But pretend that the speeds that we saw on the screen just now were in miles per hour. But imagine 230 miles per hour in a closed street circuit. That sounds like we're driving rocket ships as opposed to driving 1.5 ton NASCARs.
Yeah, I was gonna say F1 eats your heart out. This is Merca racing at its finest. You just put the rocket engines on the back. If we're racing under like idiocracy rules, then that's probably what it looks like. This is the future of racing that we all want to see. Everybody except the drivers, who are probably going to break the sound barrier and their legs, were that to come to pass. So I think we're going to keep things like it is. White flag is out, and that means that there are limited laps to make up 15, 41, 9, 26, 12 intervals respectively. And that seems difficult. So just don't stuff it up. Don't spin into the barrier. Keep it cool. And you got this. My words of advice to all of our drivers. But to be real, if you're taking my words of advice, you probably don't stand a very good chance. Anyway, also turn the stream off and focus on your racing. Bad. Anyway, this is maybe what it's going to be like as we close into the second half of racing here around the Chicago street circuit. And the first heat is always a little bit of a trial run, still very competitive, but you really got a chance to see, okay, based on how things started, what do they look like now? Very, very distant between each racer. But who knows? Moments into the future, Amir, what could transpire as we start things out with the Heat 2 under reverse grid?
Yeah, it might be more the same because it's just literally flip around what we had in qualifying, apart from the fact that Villarreal will be on pole position. So at least he'll have a half chance to make amends after this first heat. But speaking of first heats, that's Resende locking up across the line with a comprehensive victory up in front. 12 seconds ahead of Kyle Gaspar, Reed.
But Amir, if Casacuerta crosses the finish line second, doesn't that mean that he finishes in second place?
Well, sorry. Did I get my words crossed up there? I think Wyman is second place on the grid
because he's lapped, so he doesn't do another lap. He just finishes.
He finishes P5. Yeah.
Right. It was a small joke, but
Okay,
one
yes.
based on ignorance, which clearly is something only I possess today. Either way, we're going to watch Mora and State finish their laps out here. State should come across the line here in just a few seconds. And that's going to do it. So the music goes up and the laps finish up here. It took us a little bit, but we made it around for our first trip in Chicago. A little bit of a trial run for us here today, honestly, and I think we're seeing that it is a little bit more difficult. Maybe not the iconic track that it maybe will be in the future. So we might want to remember this and say, hey, we were early adopters. There we go. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Either way, this is our final standings for heat number 1. Jackson Asenge, Kyle Gaspar, Pedro Mora, Tim State, Rafael Casacuerta, and Diego Villarreal. And for Tim State, is a new guy. He's only raced a couple of times in AMX Season 3, and he's putting up some okay times. Middle of the pack is not bad. Finishing 4th in AMX 0 gets you a grand total of... Hold on, I got this. $3. Sick. Awesome. Killing it. And here we go again, Amir.
Yep. Here we go again for Heat 2, but this time, as usual, a full reverse grid of 6 cars, so that's why we got a complete turnaround. It's kind of like previous seasons, isn't it, where it's a full reverse grid. So at least Villarreal will be on pole position for this one. We're going to get off to a rolling start again. And a view of the grid once again for this second heat. Villarreal, Casacuerta, and State, we saw them finish 6th, 5th, and 4th, but now they're 1st, 2nd, and 3rd here for heat number 2. Mora and Gaspar right at the back, both our teammates incidentally, because they're running different liveries. Normally they'll be in the Texaco colors, but Mora's running the iconic Texaco livery, and Gaspar is running the I think it was a Monster Energy livery, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why they looked a little bit different on screen, but they are running as teammates. And right at the back is the race winner from Heat 1, their teammate who won as well. So yeah, sorry, I'm getting my words messed up there. Resende at the back, he will definitely be looking to have another good start here to make it 2-2.
It's okay, Amir. Deep breaths are our best friends. It's okay. So let's see what's going on here. We're finishing up our rolling start as we did in the last one. Honestly, my favorite part about this track is not even the track itself, but it's the idea that there's massive buildings everywhere and that like normal people drive and walk down these streets on a normal basis. And we get a chance to see not only, you know, if you're racing on, Spa-Francorchamps, right? Oh, the Bugen Forest, the beautiful Belgian forest. Okay, see, you're not the only one matching your words up today. But this is not a forest, this is a concrete jungle, and it just looks so cool to see it rendered in such detail for the Chicago street circuit. So it's a great place to race, it looks great, and we're about to start our final lap, plural, on AMX 0 for this race here, NASCAR Next Gen. The cars are looking good, but the track you can still see still very challenging for our racers. Let's see if they can do a little bit better this time around. Last heat, it was all about the start. So really, it's about when and how quickly you can put that pedal to the metal. So you should see our racers slink up here as we get ready to go with our final corners of the opening rolling start.
Yeah, Bombo Resende in right at the back once again, and he'll be hoping to go off to a flyer, though he did use Tim State as a braking marker in the first one, coming into turn number 1 as the cars rev up. Green flag will fly pretty soon because we're coming around the final corner now, and we're off. So, Casacuerta got off to a very poor start. He didn't actually see the lights and the green flag, I think. But Villarreal did, and he's already got the whole shot coming to turn 1. There's Resende coming through, and this time didn't use anyone as a braking marker.
Nope, he's just doing it on his own this time around. So let's see what it looks like as we start things off for heat number 2. Jackson SNJ, he's, oh no, we already got a spin. It's Tim State. He's going to have to, okay, he didn't even need that reverse gear, but he does spin it right back around. He's coming back from the back, 7 seconds back, and we'll see if he can get up a couple of places, because that does put him a little bit out of the standings. Although, given the gaps that we saw in heat number 1, not the smallest. Or not the largest. Either way. Neither of them, actually. For Jackson Sanchez, we watch him come through the field. He's already on a +3 and looking to repeat his performance from the last time around. Diego Villarreal, though, he's really making the most of this reverse grid, Amir. 1.8, almost 2 seconds up through the first few corners. You gotta feel good about that.
Absolutely, and after the troubles that he had from that first heat, it's a change of pace for him, and he will want to consolidate that up in front. But he's got 3 fast Brazilians right behind him, and Casacuerta as well. As here's a replay of what happened to State. It looks as though he tried to get the loud pedal on, and unfortunately just loops it on the cold tires.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just how do you keep things pointed forward when your car is trying to point you every other direction? You can even see how quickly he's able to spin that one right back around and get back into. Oh, big lockup. The brakes come off, and that's what it looks like to struggle around the corner. The action already heating up here, Amir, as we get into the first couple laps of our race. Senjay, Casacuerta, you can really see not even just racing each other, but kind of racing themselves here. This track proving to be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, Resende locked up big time. He tried to actually outbrake his teammate Pedro Mora right there, and luckily, Gaspar in fact. Wait, what happened to Villarreal? Villarreal's actually dropped to 5th, so I guess that's why Resende was actually trying to send it into the lead of the race. He whacked to the side of Gaspar. Gaspar whacked the barriers, but luckily, it looks as though the car actually came away almost unscathed, even though we saw a body panel from his car coming off. Oof! Using a bit of the wall to brake there. The Monster Energy car really not having a fun time of it, and Kasakurta as well losing a bumper.
We hate. Wait, where'd the bumper go? Is he not still racing with the bumper?
In fact, I think is a quick fix setting. I think that turned on for this one because the cars might have damage, but then it heals itself very quickly.
That sounds like a video game, Amir. I expect nothing but the pinnacle of racing integrity from my simulators here. Resende late braking. I actually, by far the funniest part of the broadcast is to see what our production team decides to title these picture-in-pictures. Sometimes they actually sneak in a couple of surprises down there. So you always gotta keep your eye out. Let's see, Kyle Gaspar in the pits. What's up with that, Amir?
Yeah, as we saw in the picture-in-picture just now in the inset, why he was in the pits? Well, because he got whacked by Jackson Resende coming to the first turn. He might have had the car almost fixed because visually it looks fine, but he might just want to get a bit of the damage that still lingers out of the way and just get back in the race. So he's back in here, but 6 seconds behind Tim State at the back of the field. So at least he got part of the damage out of the way, but he's lost a heap of time.
A heap. However, not as heapy a heap as our first race of the day. You know, heaps, Amir, in computer science are a way of representing like piles of data. Whoa! I was waxing eloquent, and lo and behold, Diego Villarreal really wants me to shut up about that. He spins it out and goes from first to last to third to last again. Oh man, what a polarizing situation he's found himself in. He does get things back underway. The durability of these next-gen cars really being shown off here, but he's still down in 5th. Although, keeping it close, we got a little bit of close racing in the front and the back as Senjay's pretty close behind Mora. You can see what it looks like in his rearview mirror. And with the fastest lap of 128.3, Jackson Senjay's got a lot to race for here, and we've got 6 laps left, Amir.
Yeah, but he has been a little bit of a bad boy in this one. He's got a few drivers to the barriers, including his fellow teammate and countryman. So let's hope that the overtake may happen cleanly this time around. He needs to look for an opportunity at the heavy braking zones, and hopefully he doesn't lock up again.
Well, yeah, hopefully. Well, see, here's the dilemma, right? We're racing NASCARs in here, which means that the hopes of our drivers and our viewers are perhaps at odds. So, well, either way, somebody's going to be happy with this, even if it's just you and I for getting a chance to commentate these races. So we got Senjay up front, battling Pedro Mora, and Villarreal actually doing a great job of making up these seconds. He's down 4, and so he really wants to regain those spots, and I'm hoping we can get a chance to see it as he closes to under 2/10. Man, so much action, front, back, and I love this double view of Jackson Senjay and what it looks like for him. You can see him racing behind Pedro Mora and on board what it looks like to be in the cockpit with Jackson Senjay. He's trying to close it down, but he can't make up that little bit of distance. Right as I say that, he does. And now he's closing to within a 10th. Alongside Amir, he's doing it. He's going for it, but the straight's going to run out. Does he have enough to get into it? He briefly does claim that lead, slings it around the outside, and takes that first place spot.
Yep, in the inside first, but then it became the outside. It just was a matter of a drive coming out of turn number 1, and he gets it. So this time it's a clean maneuver. He didn't take out a fellow countryman. So credit to Mora there. He kept it clean as well. He just gave plenty of space to Resende. And Resende likewise just stopped the car in time, got the car rolling into turn 1 better, and takes the lead of the race.
Overtaking the backs, Tim State falls back, Kyle Gaspar going up, and Diego Villarreal holding strong in 4th. So the back action has kind of solidified itself. Tim State might have something to fight for with Kyle Gaspar over the next 5 laps, but essentially we just get to do it all over again. We're halfway through the race, so whatever happened, it can unhappen. And honestly, I'm a bigger believer in that because of accidents like Tim State's spin earlier, like the Kasakurta Gaspar shenanigans going on in the middle of the pack. And honestly, we've only got seconds. between our racers, and so really anything can happen.
Indeed, and the tires are now more or less warmed up here as we entered the halfway point of the race. We can see the drivers just push a bit more, and Gaspar likewise will be pushing to get back up to the podium positions. He's only about 3 seconds behind Villarreal, and only by the looks of it 4 seconds behind Casacorta, so there's still at least a half chance for him to recover back onto the podium.
Diego Villarreal with the new fastest Sector 1, 25 tenths or 25 seconds around.
Fast lap racing, in fact.
Oh, wow. No, he does pick that up. Oh, my God. Yeah, 127.4. Holy cow. I was just looking at sector data. I was like, oh, he did that one really quickly. Diego Villarreal using that speed to climb up into third. What a race this guy's having. Actually keeping it pretty competitive. Although I will say he faces his greatest challenge yet, making up a 13-second deficit between himself and Pedro Mora, although he is absolutely motoring down the streets of downtown Chicago. So let's see if he can actually put that to work. Kyle Gaspar in the back also making a big overtake happen over that Casacorta guy, who is kind of now struggling down in fourth. But I think that was maybe almost always going to happen. And Gaspar might even make a big pass onto Diego Villarreal. He's very happy, very proud of himself for getting into that third place. Might not be for long.
Yeah. But it will at least it will give us a bit of a grandstand finish towards the end here. So we'll have to keep your eye out for this, whether or not Gaspar can catch up to Villarreal, or whether or not Villarreal can actually hold on to third place. That's an interesting battle brewing, as we see a graphic that shows that the cars that are involved, Toyota 1, 2, 3, and that's actually quite a rarity given the fact that in NASCAR, because of the parity that we have here, no such troubles compared to V8 supercars this season. It's nice to see that the entire field of cars from the three manufacturers are represented here today, so that's a nice thing to have, of course.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised. We had big gaps between our cars in heat number one, now much smaller. Although for Diego Villarreal, really the exception to the rule here. Still some exciting action going on, though, as Tim State is 3/10 behind Casacorta in the back, so we've got a lot to talk about, right? Okay, that's a lie. But Jackson Sanchez up in the front, and he's got a dominant victory, so we might see just him cruise on to victory if he wants to do that. But the back, and also Kyle Gaspar racing Diego Villarreal, could be exciting to watch, and that's currently what we're seeing. And I love to see the direct relationship synced in real time between Diego Villarreal in person, on his camera, and on track. So you get a chance to see exactly what it looks like. If you want to learn from his style, learn from the way he is racing, maybe critique him in chat. Be nice, guys. But it is cool to see what it looks like. The focus, the dedication, the grit, the drive. Yeah, he does look really focused as he comes around the corner. And he's got a lot to focus on because 5/10 behind him, very close behind him. Casacorta, State, and of course he's looking to pass Diego. So lots to watch out for as we watch the battle for fifth heat up around the corner.
I thought Casacorta was going to miss the corner there, but somehow manages to hook the car up through the final corner and still manages to stay ahead of State. As we're looking at Gaspar facing up to Villarreal. Villarreal really, I think by the looks of it, was really wrapping his knuckles around the wheel. He is really holding it with dear life right now. He had the fastest lap of the race, but now he's back with Vicente into the barriers. Goes Casacorta. That might just be on his own.
You know he's going to submit an incident report after the game, and he's like, actually, I was spatially intimidated by an elk in the distance. No, I don't know, man. That just there's no other way to describe that. You just drove your car straight when you should have turned. So rough day to be Casacorta. He's still in sixth given the number of drivers, which is not bad. I don't know if he's going to make up 13 seconds in 2 laps, but there is a real race on our hands between Kyle Gaspar and Diego Villarreal. So we're going to hop on board and see Chevy versus Toyota. Good. Uruguay versus Brazil in the middle of the pack for $1 difference. Wow. 232 kilometers an hour, racing down the straight into the corner. They go, and Diego Villarreal really having to put his defensive driving manual to the test.
Yep, he's gonna have to put a few chapters into this if he manages to fend off Gaspar here for the final spot on the rostrum. You can see two separate onboards. This is a really nice shot, isn't it? One from the back of Villarreal's car, the other one from the front of Gaspar's. And you can see the differences here. If you're looking back, looking forward. And for Villarreal, he might not want to look back too much because he knows that if he were to slip up here, Gaspar would just take the position with both arms open.
Metaphorically speaking, keep your hands on the wheel, guys. We like to practice two-handed driving, hands at 10 and 2, you know, or is it 9 and 4? I don't know. I don't actually know. Either way, around the corner they come for one of the final trips around our time on the Chicago Street Circuit. Looking at the sectors, you can see Gaspar is climbing a little bit, but it's going to take a little bit more than that, given how difficult it can be to overtake on street sectors like this. Although right as I say that, Diego Villarreal, he's playing with fire. He goes a little bit wide around that turn. He's maybe giving Caio Gaspar an angle as the white flag waves. This might be the moment for Caio Gaspar to make that overtake happen, get himself another dollar in the bank. As you can see right there, the difference between third and fourth is that dollar, 3 to 4. Let's see what it looks like as we go racing for one final lap around Chicago streets.
Yep, out of the final corner they go. It looks as though Villarreal got a better drive out that time around. He manages to eke out a few hundreds, the nearly 5/10s coming to turn number 1. But let's see how the exit is going to be for him. And it is Villarreal who is actually still able to hold it off just for the time being, but Gaspar is much closer this time.
Yeah, indeed, much closer. Let's see what those sectors look like as they come around the final 4 corners. See what it looks like for Villarreal as he holds on. He's trying to make the back end of that NASCAR as big as possible. He's to put some Weasley's trunk action in there and make it transcendentally large. Let's see if Gaspar can make it happen, although with him falling back to 5/10s, 4/10s, 3/10. Okay, never mind. All right. I didn't say anything. Whoa, a little bit wide on the turn there. Is this the angle that he needs? Caio Gaspar's got, like I said, about 3 corners left here, and I don't know if it's going to be enough, Amir.
I don't think so, but unless, of course, he's going to send a big boy dive coming to the final corner. As there is Resende across the line, makes it a mini triple crown, as one of the viewers has pointed out, because it's not a full grid of drivers to get it, but he emulates Diogo Pinto to actually take a triple crown here, the second triple crown here. But here comes the final corner then between Villarreal and Gaspar, and it looks as though it's not enough. Gaspar would have needed another lap here, but Villarreal holds on to that.
Wow, 3/10 separate our drivers at the final corner. That will be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, into the car, or the barrier there at the end. Casacerda will come finish along with Tim Stade as they drive through in about 20 seconds. And that's a look at the way things finish up for our time here in the Chicago streets. You got a chance to see some irate businessmen. Why is it so noisy? You got a chance to see mothers walking their babies in strollers, complaining about race car fumes. You got to see, cars using each other as braking points and the barriers, everything in between. It's a great day in downtown Chicago. Nothing new. This is what it looks like normally if you're just driving in normal traffic. But today's traffic is a little bit more exciting. Jackson Asante does complete that mini triple crown. He was very fast and thus in first place in all 3 sectors. He is going to have to put a fine place on his head for 3 of those crowns. Kanani Sports Brazil represented way up at the top. Pedro Mora, Diego Villarreal, Caio Gaspar, Tim Stade, and Rafael Casacerda round out your standings for AMX 0 Race Day 25 Heat 2 results. The end. Time for bed, kids. Amir, what did you think about our time out on the track today?
Well, it was frenetic to say the least because it was in a very tight street circuit, but the drivers gave it all, and glad to see that at least we got some good racing out of that, especially in heat number 2 where we had a battle to the flag for P3. So Villarreal were well disappointing here after his troubles in the first heat. One thing to mention right just now, I said Diego Pinto actually did a triple crown. In fact, it was Chris Lolum, so apologies for that one. It was Lolum that did the triple crown in Monza in the Lotus 49s, but win's a win, and 3 wins if you include the pole win and the 2 wins in the heats. It's a good day for Resende already, and he'll probably be looking forward to Talladega.
That is right, Amir. Coming up, we do have the same cars running around the iconic Talladega circuit. So we'll have that coming up and a whole lot more. You don't want to miss it. Before we head out to that break, I just want to remind you that if you're interested in racing, AMXrace.com is the place to do that. If you want to race NASCAR, Formula 4, 3, 2, 1, anything out there, we probably got it on our schedule. 72 races, and we're over halfway through, so we'd love to see you race in the hinterland of Season 3 at amxrace.com. If you have any thoughts, feedback, cares, comments, concerns, Instagram and Twitter are the places to communicate with us on social media. You can also drop a question in chat on Twitch or YouTube, and if you feel like following or subscribing on both, either, or none, we just love to have you here along with us, whether you're watching live or via video. We'd love to have you here for AMX Global League Season 3. One last thing. Oh, yeah, join the Discord. Discord's cool. We have a cool community in there of racers who are answering each other's questions, posting memes, and everything in between. We'd love to see you join the Discord, and you can do that by clicking the link on amxrace.com or searching for AMX Global Discord. That'll get you the results that you need. I think that's it, Amir. It's time. Let's head out to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Talladega coming up next as AMX Global League Season 3 continues right after this.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to AMX Global League Season 3. We are coming to you live from above a sensational, legendary NASCAR racetrack in Talladega. You can see many of the famous stickers from Talladega on the field, and we're about to put a few more on there as we race NASCAR next-gen cars around the one of the most famous circles in the world. I'm not alone. Here to do it with me is Amir. Amir, we just finished off AMX 0, and now we're back for AMX 10, $600 on the line, and we're going to do it on Talladega. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling really confident about this because we got a bigger field on this one. Plus, with Talladega being such a fast, they call it the biggest, baddest speedway in America, we're going to see a lot of pack racing here, so it's going to create some really good excitement to see how they will manage the traffic coming through. And we saw it just now in the broadcast, the in-betweens before the start of the broadcast. We were racing Talladega last year, so we saw 3 wide racing in a pack. So I'm hoping this one will be the same case here today, Reed.
Yeah, absolutely, Amir. I think the pack racing always super exciting. It's NASCAR Next Gen, so they're fast, they're powerful, they sound amazing, and we have some of the best racers in AMX Global League Season 3 here to show us how it's done. Let's go ahead and take a look at a sick shot. Take a look at what's going on here. If you're new to this season, well, watch some VODs. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version for today. All right. The dates for these races go a little bit beyond the December 10th date. You can see there on your screen, but the rest of the data is, as always, $25,000 on the line. We have the most races in a year at 72, highest variety of cars and tracks of any league in the world. Unless you can find something else. Otherwise, I don't know. Reverse grids, turn your camera on. We pay out $100 every month. Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday is the days we're doing it at amxrace.com is the place. Let's go. Where you can sign up to race and stuff like that. Here's a look at the schedule. We're racing Wednesday evenings and in the afternoons on Saturday, Sunday. If you are in the Americas region, AMX 0 and AMX 10. If you're in Europe, and this is what it looks like, racing at midnight on Thursday and in the evenings on Saturday, Sunday, on the weekends for AMX 0 and AMX 10. And here's a look at the AMX 10 prize pool. It is called AMX 10 because it costs $10 to enter. If that seems like a steep prize tag, well, just check out what we're giving you. $40 for first place in qualifier, Heat 1 and Heat 2, which means a total of $120 from racing. $10 if you hit the fastest lap for Heat 1 and Heat 2, which takes you up to $130, and that's not bad. There's no camera. We require that your cameras be turned on, and that you do the same to us with your racing. AMX 10 champion of Season 3 will win an FGT Elite. Thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing, who have partnered with AMX Global League this season to level up the competition and what our competitors are competing for by providing the AMX 10 champion with an FGT Elite. And of course, there's 100 other cockpits that they have on their website available to sim racers around the world. So a big thanks to Next Level Racing for partnering with us this season. The AMX 10 top 10, 12, AMX top 12, 10 drivers on your screen right now. This is the leaderboard based on the entire season, who's taken home the most money. Quarantine Ganez and Guile Valero are way up top with over $1,000. That's like a lot. For first and second, right down below them, Diogo Pinto, who's only raced 12 times, won 4 of them, and has put up $827. Not too shabby. The rest of the racers are all very, very impressive, with some racing upwards of 20 times in AMX 10 this season. A lot on the line, and here's a look at who is doing the best at it. Enzo Bonito and Jose Soria. We've seen these guys race one time, and they're on top of the standings. That's just because they put up a banger of a race, and if they ever come back, well, it might be tough to replicate situations like that. Incredible performances across the board. A lot of one-race wonders here. Connor Nixon and Balash Tarucci there in 4th as well. Some really impressive performances, but some consistency too. You can see Quarantine Ganez, he's been out here 18 times. He's still good enough for 7th, so really impressive driving and really impressive drivers here in AMX 10 this season. It is called AMX 10 for a reason. It normally costs $10 to enter, but for a limited time only. If you head on over to AMXrace.com to sign up and you are fast enough, we add races to the website all the time, and if you're fast enough, you can sign up for free. That's right. Instead of paying $10 to race for over $600 prize pool in AMX 10, you can get in for free, but only the first 10 signups are good enough. So you want to make sure to get there as fast as possible. AMXrace.com is the place to sign up and potentially get in for free into this $600 AMX 10 race. And as we spin high over the tri-oval, this is the look at the racetrack that we will be racing at today. So here to break it down for us is Amir. Take it away and tell us what and where we're racing.
Yeah, Breed, where we're racing? Well, it's Talladega Super Speedway, and it needs no introduction among NASCAR fans. It is what they call the biggest, baddest speedway in the entire US of A, located in Lincoln in the Alabama County. 4.281 kilometers, or I should give it a bit of service to this one, 2.6 miles. So I'm using miles here for this one, Reed. You'll be happy to hear that one. Highest banking on the entire circuit, 32.4 degrees of banking, so you can see where the speeds come from. There's a very high banks here.
Yeah, but you use degrees for banking, and I only know angstroms. Never mind. That was a math joke. Anyway, all right, it is a bank circuit. It means you can keep the speed going into the turns. You're going to be hitting that top speed of whatever it is in miles only. Talk about what we're racing here, Amir. We talked about it in our first heat of the day, but in case people aren't familiar with the next generation of NASCAR cars, what do we have here for today?
Yeah, what we have right now is the next generation Cup car, or officially it's the 7th generation NASCAR Cup car that they've used, but for this particular edition they call it the next gen. 670 horses at 1.5 tons, 6-punch gearbox, rear-wheel drive. So it's been a staple of NASCAR racing since the early days in 1949. But this one is just the next step in the evolution of the car, where it is more ergonomic for the drivers, but it's actually meant to look a bit more closely related to the stock counterparts, which is the road cars for these NASCAR. So you can see like Camaro looks exactly what a Camaro will look like on the road, just with a few extra steps. The Camry and the Ford Fusion, etc. So really then, the best representation of the top tier class of stock car racing in America.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's a lot to talk about, not only because we're racing at the Talladega Super Speedway, but also because we're talking about these cars and we have a little bit more time to talk about them as we finish up our practice session. And that means when we're talking about the technological improvements, not only do you have like the spec chassis, which is obviously carbon fiber to the nines, and you really do get a lot, not only from the chassis, which was a huge area of improvement over the Gen 6 cars, but also you have they used to have the suspension was the same, but now you have an independent rear suspension, and suspension on NASCAR cars is way different than what you would expect on a lot of other makes or road cars, just because you are driving either on very high camber turns or the just the nature of ovals, wearing the tires differently anyway. So you need that suspension, and this takes over from the solid rear axle that they used to run. So new wheels also, and obviously iRacing has a lot of really incredible tire wear modeling, and nowhere is that more significantly emphasized than in the wheels here on our next gen cars. And didn't they change like the mirrors or something? I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of changes, is my point.
Yep. I think because the most evidence, like, it looks like there's no rear wing, but actually, in actuality, it is there. It's just like a thin strip of
Right.
plexiglass, if I'm not mistaken. It's just literally invisible, but if you really see up close, there is actually a rear wing there. So it's much less prevalent compared to there we go. See, well, it's not even seen in the iRacing model, but in real life, there is kind of like a plastic material over there, and it's less prevalent compared to, say, the car of tomorrow back in the mid 2000s, where it is widely derided. This one is more or less favored by the fans, but drivers have been 50-50, but especially given the fact that IRL, we've had some nasty injuries, especially the drivers who hit the car back first into the barrier. So questions of safety there, but at least the cars are the safest they've ever been since the car of tomorrow.
We are getting the extra special, super scenic route around Talladega today. You can absolutely wall ride on this. It's a tri-oval, so it looks, like you would expect. There's a few others on the NASCAR calendar, so it's not like this is completely revolutionary, but absolutely the most impressive thing here. Not only sights and sounds, but we're getting a little bit of an extra sight and sound as we hop on board with what I can only describe as NASCAR action at its finest. How many times can we spin our Beyblades out onto the track today, Amir? And the answer is more. Always more. So we have a little bit of everything. We've got spins, we've got group racing, we've got bump drafting, we've got wall riding, we've got everything under the sun here. And it is a very sunny day at Talladega as we head around for the first few laps of 15 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, and we were in the windy city just now, but amazingly, no one was taken out by the wind. This one, yet they're helped out to spin into the infield, so we'll expect plenty of that along the way as we are on board with Corrado Ramos. As he starts lapping, he was using a bit of the draft there from, I think, by the looks of it, was I thought it was Cascurta for a second, but yeah, it might have been Cascurta because he runs in the all pink car. Now we're really getting the nitty gritty. Are they going to tandem draft or are they going to try to go into the clean air? Some drivers are opting to do without assistance with the draft. Ramos then is the only one here right now on our onboard is doing that, and he's gaining a lot of speed, almost 180 miles per hour on the back straight here. These cars can go easily 320, but that would be quite dangerous because we've seen how it happened in 1987 when Bobby Allison ended up into the barriers, so up in the fencing. So we will luckily not see any of those. That's why the cars are now using restrictor plates in these kind of races.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. In theory, we could actually just put jet engines on the back of these cars, but unfortunately, that may not be up to our safety standards. Although, what's the roll cage for? We got to push it to the limit. Yeah. Okay. So we have a whole host of new racing faces here today, but we are including the racers from our previous tournament, our previous AMX Zero race too. So we get to see some old and new, and it is a field of about 15 racers for us to check out today. So let's see what they look like as we head around the oval for our second or third time, qualifying laps, obviously, and let's see what it's going to look like. A 50.8, and it is an oval. That means that we might have to take a little bit of time to see, okay, well, how minute are the differences going to be? How finely are we splitting our hairs here today? Because as we race around the Alabama racetrack, there are a lot of lap records to talk about, and so for the NASCAR Cup cars, right, we're looking for 46.5. What? That's like 4/10 faster, and that is because it was set in 2019. So we were racing Camrys, and that was things looked a little bit different back then. I think they did update in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The NASCAR Cup car did come last year, as we see Randall Turner in VR, so at least that's a nice touch. You can have a better sense of space compared to some of the drivers who are only using a screen. But yeah, going back to your point just now, because that time we were running Gen 6 cars, and the Gen 6 cars were more or less friendly with the bump drafting, and you can actually go tandem drafting where two drivers skip away, but that took away from some of the racing, so they did a bit of aero changes which allowed pack racing to happen again, and that's why the speeds as well were just absolutely manic in that time. So that said, it's not that much different now. It's just probably the fact that they qualify with the pack, and here we are right now. We have the entire pack of, at least by our count, 7 cars, 8 cars together in one shot.
I mean, this is NASCAR, right? You're really going to want to stick together, get that draft on, and when you're not racing, you don't have to pull out. You can just stay there all the way around. Get that top speed, get the draft that you need, and it's a pretty good deal. So let's take a look at who is racing with us today, right? We're on board with Makunda Raga right now. Connor Healy right underneath him. Fabrizio Belziti, Gael Valero, Diego Villarreal, who we got a chance to see earlier, along with Rafael Casacurta. Jose Soria. Now, this is his second race ever in AMX, if I'm not mistaken. He took a break for a while, and then he's coming back. He put up one of the craziest first performances in his rookie or maiden race in AMX. What was it? AMX 10. Yeah, he was racing F3s, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's here to do it again. So very, very excited to watch Jose Soria come out again.
Yep. And that was at Zandvoort, of course, where he was racing in the Formula 3 cars. He really put in the razzmatazz in that particular race. He is looking to do it here again, but in a completely different discipline, in a NASCAR stock car, the next generation Cup cars, where the racing discipline is different. You need to draft, you need to time your overtaking quite well, especially given the fact that everyone's doing the exact same thing. So it's really a completely different kettle of fish.
Indeed, the kettle of fish. I talk about this quite frequently, especially when I cast with Alex Goldschmidt, our other caster. He's a big fan of that kettle, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out where we got the kettle of fish from, or how it could possibly be relevant every time it's mentioned. So clearly, I'm not in on the code words, and you're gonna have to enlighten me a little bit, Amir.
It's a saying that I like to use as well, but I really don't know, because some of the origins of these analogies just come out of nowhere. Probably it was past experience that happened to them, and that's why it took. But we'll just go with it.
This is my great suspicion, okay, with a lot of British English as a filthy defector, is that you are in fact just making it up as you go along, and maybe 100 years ago somebody did something with a kettle of fish, but nowadays we don't like to think too hard about it, because then we wouldn't really know. Also, that's like just scratching the tip of the iceberg for things that are said without conscience or consequence. All right, well, you can check my Twitter for a rant about that later on. Let's take a look at what's happening as we reach the halfway point through qualifiers. We're on board right now with Fabrizio Belziti, who's currently racing fast enough for provisionally P2 at 49.7. Is it a 49.3? Or Casa Curta? Where was this in our first race, Amir?
I think it's because it's a completely different ball game for him, because it was a street circuit where he can't really go full taps with the NASCAR Cup car. Now that he's on an oval where these cars were made for, he really is excelling. Plus, look at that. 3 cars in front of him, he's getting a full dose of the draft. And in that time round, at least, he might be able to just match his lap time. The start finish line's a bit further out here, right there. And no improvement that time round. In fact, it's a 50.1, so he kind of backed off a bit. But now he's getting a full complement of 3 cars in front, breaking through the air for him.
Yeah, really good. We are seeing some lone wolves there, but as we hop on board with Rafael Casa Curta, you can see a fresh haircut and even fresher moves there as he reacts to what I can only imagine is a pretty happy lap time for him. Currently P1:49.3. So. I mean, I'm not saying that he's gonna get up and go walk around the pit lane, but it's not bad. And it should be noted that the numbers you're seeing on your screen right now are their oval I ratings. So these are different than street I ratings. And 0.9K. I thought that the point of putting K was to illustrate thousands. So wouldn't it just be easier to put just like 900? I don't know. I don't make the rules here, Amir. But for the Ks on everybody else, you'd actually see some pretty high ratings. Jose Soria, right? We were talking about him coming out of nowhere and busting up in AMX 10. He's at a 4.9K oval rating? I didn't even know. I can't even count. I'm going to have to take off my socks to count that high. Very, very impressive race so far, and nice to see some really impressive performances out there already, even just in qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to your point about the 0.9K, I think it makes sense that they put 0.9K because we are rounding it off to the thousands afterwards. So it is under a K. So it's just a unit of measurement. It's just like why we use degrees or miles per hour, or even some other form like Kelvin, for example. It's just to quantify the numbers in a sort of measurement. If you get my draft, get it, draft.
Amir. Really? It's like 10 o'clock in the morning over here. I woke up at 5. It's too much. But we can't fire you because then I'd have to solo cast. So I guess I'll let it slide this time. Guile Valero, we're watching the Apex Racing Team driver, 28 years old, do pretty darn well. Now, Guile, I would say his greatest strength is his flexibility and his ability to excel on a variety of different cars. And so for NASCAR, that is really going to put this to the test. He is incredibly fast on so many cars, but it really does seem like he excels on GT3s, like LMPs, really top speed, high speed, your standard European racing track. So we're really flipping the script for Guile tonight, and I'm excited to see how well he can perform. Currently in P4 with a 49.724.
Yeah, and case in point of why European drivers, they take a really good long look at NASCAR and be committed to it. That's where you can see where it pays dividends. And for Valero Ostoria with such high oval ratings, that's paying dividends. And he is playing the long game right now. He is having 3 cars right behind. That looks like Connor Healy at the back of it. Yeah, that's Healy and Belziti. They're actually the fastest 3 cars right now in that top 5. So they're together. So it really helps out that the draft works out for them. So they found themselves some tandem buddies and just go along with it.
Yeah, no, this is what sim racing's all about, right, Amir? Making friends. Sim racing.
Well, these are like friends with benefits.
Or friend.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
different type of benefits, of course.
Well, different than what?
Different with those kind of benefits, but we can't mention that on air.
Oh, Amir. Yes. Good job. No, thanks. As always. Wow. Cool. We're on board with Fabrizio Belzini. This is my technique. If you ever hear me talk about who we're on board with, it's not because I want to. It's because I'm desperate. Connor Healy, number 2. What's he doing up here? The driver from down under, usually finding himself down under on the 15th, 16th part of the roster, but now in P2, he is great at keeping it going behind somebody. It's like, can you keep your car behind another car? If yes, then race on ovals, you'll do okay. And he is doing okay. Wow, 49.66 puts in P2.
Yeah, certainly the trio of drafting cars together really helped out with his cause right now. And they're still together, in fact, going for the low line across the start-finish line. Car number 5 in front of them, that is Kuda Rago. Rago is the early pace setter, but he hasn't had the benefit of the draft, so that's why he has dropped through the order. And now he's trying to slot in behind these 3 who are really setting the pace up in front. But Casa Curta, though, out of our sights, is 3/10 faster, or at least, by my count, a couple of miles per hour faster on the straights here.
Just a couple. Indeed. Yeah, no, very impressive to see, and we still have time. You can still squeeze in like maybe 1.2 laps. I don't know. There's still time to put up some time, so we're going to take a look at what our sectors look like. Okay, Guile, you're not making up any time this time. Fabrizio Belziti also probably out of there, not improving beyond that, and so we're going to start to see our racers drop out a little bit here. And is there time for another lap? I guess there is, right? So we could see more times be put up here, but yeah, this is what it looks like right now. Eric Troiano probably not improving. Zamperlini, some big yellow sectors for him. Guile Valero, he is on a burner, so let's see if he can keep that keep it going. Right behind him, Fabrizio Belziti, right in front of him rather. And as they near the completion point, they too put up yellow sectors. So probably looking at a pretty good idea of what our final roster will look like. Some highlights for me are Tim State up there in 6th, so that's a pretty good performance, especially after his AMX Zero performance from earlier on today. Unfortunately, we didn't see Mr. Turner, our other American driver, do very well as he hops out of his car with a 50.8, but he will not be reverse gridded because it's only a top 15 reverse grid. And what do you know? Wow, we are improving at the very last moments of qualifiers, and oh wow, some more spins here too, so that's not an improvement, but just recognizing that the session's coming to an end. Maybe he had somewhere to go.
Yep, that broke up the tandem buddies between Valero, Belziti, and Connor Healy. But Healy is the fastest among the three that was in that particular draft. He'll be absolutely delighted to be up there in terms of pole time, but in terms of qualifying time. But he's gonna be reversed into that midfield that he is quite familiar with, though, unfortunately.
That's going to do it for qualifying on Talladega. Let's take a look at the final standings. You can see Rafael Casacorda, Connor Healy, and Fabrizio Belziti. What is up with that? This is why we make absolutely everyone turn their cameras on, because you never know who's going to be up there. Casacorda, his first pole position of AMX Global League Season 3. So congratulations to him for that. Connor Healy, Fabrizio Belziti, Gael Valero, and Eric Troiano, your top 5. Really mixing things up. We've got guys like Jose Soria down in 13th. Got mainstays of racing. Fabio Zamperlini, he's down there. Newcomer Randall Turner slots in at 17th with Victor Miranda, who I don't know if this guy's raced NASCAR before, but he finds himself in 18th, whereas usually we're used to seeing him contend for the top 3. So some really crazy upsets and just not a way to start this race that I am very familiar with. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we do have a rolling start to get things started. And then I've just all chaos about to break loose here, Amir.
Yep, Ramos and Villarreal up in front. And of course, as per usual in the NASCAR race, it's going to be a rolling start, not a standing start, because I imagine trying to get these heavy machines into gear and off the line, it will be absolute pandemonium. But yeah, the look up to turn number 1 will be an absolute crucial one, and after that the drivers will just sort themselves out into a pack so that they could initiate the pack racing that's pretty much famous in NASCAR, especially on restricted plate races like Talladega.
Yeah, we can't have you going too fast. You could actually just like go straight up one of those slanted turns and launch yourself into the stands or something. So keeping it on earth for our race here today. And with pace car out there, it is time to start our rolling start here, Amir. We are looking for a lap to get things warmed up, and warming up indeed they are. Nice way to hop on board with the racers to see what it looks like not only in the cockpit, but what it looks like from pole position. Rafael Casacorda, he gets rewarded with his pole position with a trip to the back of the grid. He is in 15th from that reverse grid, starting way back there. We'll see if he can do it again, as he has shown some incredible pace. But it's not just about the pace. It's about your survival instincts. So when you find yourself in P15, you have a lot of time to make up. And even as you see the cars start to bunch up here, this is not a guarantee. You have to stay safe. Safety first in NASCAR races is a given, right? But especially when you get reverse gridded back, it is going to be a very scary situation to survive these first early turns.
Indeed, and is even more so when you're in an oval, where any time that you lose from a slide or a tap in the barrier is going to be absolutely detrimental. You're going to lose heaps of time while you're trying to get back in the draft. So that's something that these drivers will definitely know about in oval racing. Speeds have to be kept constant.
Look at those constant speeds, Amir.
Well, for the time being, at least, yes. They are only behind the safety car, but once they hit 200 miles per hour, they're just going to keep it flat to the floor in the pack for the rest of the way of these 18 laps to read.
Indeed they are. The pace car heading out. That means we are getting ready to go racing here. Zooming on in, and 3, 2, 1. They're about to cross the line and get ready to go. It's kind of an interesting way to exit the pace car before we actually start the race. Any second now. Green flag, green flag. That means it's time to go racing for our first heat of the day in AMX 10 Race 25. Let's see what NASCAR looks like on Talladega tonight, Amir, as we get a chance to watch the biggest winners. Right now, it's Tim State. He is dropping down the rostrum. I don't know what's happening there. Turner, the other American, also staying way back to the back of the pack. Dornello dropping down 5 spots, but the biggest winners right now, currently Facundo Rago climbing through. We got Victor Miranda, who qualified last, now +3. All over the place. There's no way to tell what's happening. Tight pack racing to start things out on Talladega, Amir.
Yeah, but let's hope it stays that way, because right now they have to rely solely on their spotters here, because they don't have side mirrors for these NASCARs. Of course, they only have one rear view mirror in the cockpit, but even then, that's not enough to see where the others are around you. So they have to rely on their spotters coming through as we now end the first lap here of an 18-lap shootout. Ramos somehow manages to stay up in front, but he's got Jose Soria right back as the cars come through the strip. That's really fast. They're almost hitting now about 170 miles per hour here. They're not reaching top speed just yet. It will take another lap or two, but once they reach 200 miles per hour, they're going to be locked in there for at least the rest of the race.
Some subtle moves coming through. Gael Valero moving his way up, but Zamperlini falling down at the same time. We got Ariel, also not a big race for him as he finds himself dropping down to 15th. It's a -5 run for one of the best racers in the league so far. Lots to talk about here as now we're watching, I guess for the most part, Gerardo Ramos up at the top. He is splitting the air for everyone else behind him, but that first place can't feel too bad through the first 2 out of 18 laps of racing here on heat number 1. I just want to see where and how do you make moves here, Amir? Because it's not just good enough to slot out, but like, how do you get out?
Like that. You can see there, Belziti pulls out of the draft when he was actually behind Valero as he was getting it. Oh, we have a big one already. Healy's involved. There is Ramos. Healy's been turned around. Soria's involved. Casacerta was already right at the back because he lost the draft there. But Valero then was punching the air for Belziti, and Belziti pulled out to get back at it. Now, Valero is right behind Belziti this time to get a draft. Or is he? Because he's going to pull out. So they're not being tandem buddies this time, Reed.
No, I know what you mean. I thought we had a deal here, but no, it is really just a rotation up there at the top. Jackson Resenge now taking his time in the sun with a +5 into that. The really biggest winner here is Fabrizio Belziti, who finds himself on a +10, +11 drive, and Victor Miranda, a guy who started last, has gone from last to second somehow. I don't know how, but it feels like it could be magic. Ramos and Healy crashing out there towards the back, getting some nice smoke out there. Not going to be what they wanted, but they will rejoin. Healy back in 18th, and should have something left to race for. So we'll see if he can get the reverse grid by climbing up 3-4 spots and make his way into the front of the grid for next race. But speaking of making his way into the front of the grid, we got to talk about this guy, Victor Miranda. And if you want to sort the flags, this is basically what my college C++ class sorting algorithm would do. It's all Brazilian flags up at the top. Casacerta, who was pole position, finds himself reverse gridded into the depths of hell in the bottom of the grid down there. For Miranda, he's done the opposite. He has gone way up there. And honestly, I think he has what it takes to make the last to first journey complete here, Amir.
Yes, indeed. And he only has Jackson Resende to get by, but he's going to definitely work together with the fellow Brazilian, because right now with Brazilians 1st to 7th, it's a Brazilian armada right there, and they're willing to work together here right now, because the more they stay in the drop, the more they get to at least pull away from the guys behind, especially they make a beeline for it between Miranda and Resende.
Indeed true, a line of bees right between them. And I love that we can just keep the camera on Victor Miranda because he is in the front. We want to see these big packs of cars. So cool to watch, and I love to see the contrast between this and I think a lot of our races. Honestly, we race fast cars on European tracks, and you get used to what you see. Now we're seeing pack drafting, bump drafting, this really unique way of trying to stay close but not too close, but also try to make overtakes happen. But also, how do you do that? There's high lane, low lane. There's a lot going on. Also, keep in mind, we're doing 18 laps here. It is a hot day, and so there will be heavy rubberization on the bottom half of the track, which will add more and more grip the more these racers head around Talladega.
Yeah, normally you want to take the high line because it's the fastest way around Talladega, where you build up the speed here, but it looks as though everyone's taking the European circuit mentality to just stay as low as possible to keep it on the apex and be fast through there. That's why we see something like in Indianapolis, where Alonso, when he came over, he kept using the apex line like a normal European driver, whereas he can actually just take it a bit higher off the groove to be faster, but he prefers it that way, and looks as though it's the same case here. But as having said that, you can see high up is that looks like Ariel and Valero, so they're actually going a bit against the grain here, going into the middle line, coming into the final corner, and it looks as though, look at that, the speed they gain out of that, they managed to gain at least 2 positions.
Yeah, big gains here, and we're only about halfway through lap 7 coming through here. Guile Valero continuing to climb up the roster. Belziti falling down a little bit, along with Tim State, who has really found himself in an identity crisis after he started so well in qualifiers and now struggling, languishing in the middle of the pack. We got on board with Troiano in your picture-in-picture as he lights up what is the top 5 for now. He is going wheel to wheel. There's a big spin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars out of there to recover, but not so lucky for our rear racers. Pedro Mora down back. Cheerleading duties for him for the rest of the race. He is out of there.
Oh, we were lucky not to have a big one there, otherwise the entire field would have been wiped out. You know that Talladega is most famous for big ones. That was just close to becoming one. At least it was just a few drivers being sent out there. But for the likes of Guy Valero, who was really doing so strong when he's actually working together in the draft, misjudged it that time around and took out a few people with him, including Zampolini. So it's just unfortunate that it had to happen when they were really motoring along. Here's a replay of what happened. In fact, Mora was the one that was also involved in that one. It was 2 separate incidents. Mora was the one here closest to our shot. Valero was the one that got spun out, spat out in the infield.
Wow. Yeah, Amir, this is why it's so cool that we've partnered with the FIA ASN CARA, the Korean Automobile Racing Association, for potentially resolution to some of these issues. Obviously, racing NASCAR on these NASCAR circuits is not traditionally what we have out here on AMX Global League Season 3, but when we do bring it out, we do expect people to understand the risks. And it is a high risk. Anytime you're getting this fast, this close to everybody else, you accept that it is going to be the danger zone. How do you stay close and safe? Well, I mean, that's the talent, right? That's what you want to see. Ariel Dornella going back-to-back, battling neck and neck. Finally, it is Dornella that wins out on that. But for how long? I don't know. Can't be that long, right? We have had some changes, though, over the course of the last few laps, whereas it was previously an all-Brazilian front part of the pack. Fabrizio Belziti and Facundo Rago, the voracious racing drivers, have really climbed up the field. And, crucially enough, we were talking Guile Valero. He is way down there from his previous glory in 11th. And Jose Soria, one of the big legends that we were talking about, how well he did in his first race out here in AMX 10, struggling back down there towards 13th.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it was of that big one that he had right here coming up to turn number 3. That sent all the way back, so now he's just trying to recover. In fact, State is the head of that particular line, but he's 13 seconds behind, so that's really, no man's land there unless you have Bill Elliott's engine during the 1980s where he was literally 2 laps behind. Managed to make back 2 laps with no draft because of sheer power and grit when those cars were hitting 340 back in those days. So yeah, if you need a Bill Elliott car just to make up the time here if you want to.
Maybe they'll add specifically that to iRacing. How do I get that set up? Either way, let's check out Jackson Hisenje. He is the pole positional leader right now. Up at the front, breaking the air for everyone, and we are slotting in for a nice little racing line here. We had another one of these a little bit farther back with the casualties from earlier, and there is a big gap between the first 7 and the bottom 7 of our top 18. Would that be bottom 8? Never mind. There's 18 racers out there. That means that 9's the halfway point. But as we take a look at what's happening in the front, we do see pretty darn close racing here. Victor Miranda is keeping it insanely close and might even decide to pull out here. The time, as they say, is nigh. And who's going to be? Who's going to be the first one to really say, okay, I like this, but it's time to try to make up some places? Because we are nearing the end here. We're 13 out of 18 laps through here, Amir.
Yeah, time passes by so quickly, but they do run 500 miles here in Talladega, so that's why the races along because the lap here is just so short. But by oval standards, this is actually one of the longest compared to, say, Indianapolis or Daytona. It's just that big. It's actually, as one NASCAR driver said, I forgot which one is it. He said that you can literally put the whole of Daytona inside Talladega. That's how big it is. Up the line now is Pedro. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, I was just listening. I feel like we need a third commentator just to, make car noises. Okay, so we did have some minor tragedies. A spin out at the back does mean that Pedro Mora will be out of the race, although not quite as out of the race as Turner and Villarreal. So the back pack is still heavy. They have packed it with some rough racing situations, if I can keep that metaphor going. But still, in the front, we do have the rarefied air here, consisting of some of the best Brazilian drivers in AMX Global League, with, once again, Fabrizio Belziti and Facundo Rago representing for Argentina in 7th and 8th up there. So some really cool racing left to do, even though we do only have 4 laps. We were checking out that backpack that I was talking about earlier. It made up about 5 cars from the previous race casualty. So they're going to try to fight for their own race. It's like a support race, a mini race. It's like Le Mans, but with all of the same cars. That's a terrible analogy. Either way, Dornella, let's see what he can do. He is now 8 or 9 tenths, hundredths actually, between him and Eric Troiano. Honestly, it always throws me off how you can just stay this close for so long. I would be jonesing. I would be absolutely off my rocker trying to say, okay, I'm so close, I have to make it happen now. But obviously, once you exit that slipstream, you face a very, very difficult situation to make that overtake happen. So it is truly very, very difficult. You absolutely have to know what you're doing, and you're going to have to know it for about 2 more laps.
Certainly, and the fact that I think because of the Brazilian patriotism right up in front, they are really comfortable with each other. Though, having said that, there were a couple of Brazilians that came a cropper in between there, but probably through no fault of the Armada that he fell out. As it looks as though Belziti and Rago were trying to punch the air through there, but not enough just about yet. They do know that the middle line is actually quite powerful at this point in time, but proper draft going on is not enough for them to get up in front.
Nope, not enough indeed. And this is the closing moments of our race. We got about 1.5 laps here left to go, and with just hundreds, thousands of seconds separating our conga line of race cars here, this is going to be a really, really rough finish here. Hezenje Miranda, Gaspar Troiano, Ariel Dornella Belziti, and Facundo Rago make up this front pack of racers, and it is so competitive. Everyone keeping it safe, and you're starting to see some nervousness pulling out alongside. What are we doing? When are we going for it? It's going to have to be soon, because there is only 1.0 laps left here. We really are going to see it. We're making moves. In the back, we got Casacorda overtaking Tim State for that top 10 spot, which is going to be a difference of $1. So you are making money from making moves here in heat number 1. Taking it back, though, it is really back and forth there, and I'm glad that we have that picture-in-picture on the bottom right of your screen. We also have a white flag waving as Hezenje makes it through in first place, and that means that you've had the slipstream, you've gotten the cushy, easy ride around the track on the inside. It's time to pull out and make it happen, and you're going to see another one of these, like, Checo v. Alonso Brazil moves where you just race right down to the wire and try to pull out and then do him in the last seconds of the final lap of the race. It's going to be electrifying to watch, and I can't wait to see what our racers have in store for us today, Amir.
Yeah, we can see that Miranda really giving Resende a push here. He's bump drafting him. I think he's trying to pull out of the slipstream. At the final bit, big accident there for Troiano. His car is well and truly balked. But here we go then across the line. You can see Belziti pushing Miranda across the line. Is it going to be enough? They're going to go side by side across the line. 4 wide. Resende takes it at the stripe by about 1400ths of a second. Belziti tried to push Ariel there. He can only get up to P3, so he nearly got up in time. But Resende making it 3 wins in a row from 2 different classes. He is on for a double triple.
Yeah, or a triple double, however you want to count it. Wow, look at this. 2/1000ths of a second for Kyle Gaspar. He was almost in that top 5, Amir. 2/1000ths away. And we are actually going to have some other close times as we finalize our last pack of racers. The checker flag is flying. We have hundreds, tenths. And that's the way it's going to go down there. But man, our top 6 racers so close that you absolutely had no idea who was going to come out on top there. Incredible finish to what was an absolutely stunning time out here. You're starting to see why Talladega really does live up to its name.
Yep, the biggest, baddest speedway in the world. Really delivered an absolutely stonking race. And you can see there, top 7 separated by less than half a second. Just a couple of blinks of an eye and all of them are gone in a flash. So, what a race. And Resende, to his credit, managed to stave off the fast-charging Ariel and Belzidi as they were double drafting together from the main pack to just hold it at the death. What a finish. And Resende then, if he could keep this up, if he managed to do the same thing, he could win both races in both classes in the same day. And that will be a first, I think, Reed.
You know, we're trying to really stress our drivers here. How difficult can we make these challenges? I thought the Triple Crown was going to take an incredibly long time for us to see, and now we've had 3 of them already. It's supposed to be harder than that, Amir, but Jackson's making it look so easy. However, we are going to make it a little bit more difficult for him by swapping him back to the 15th spot on the grid. Heat number 2 is where it's at. This is where we are at, and it's what is going to really decide. After all said and done, we had practice, we had qualifiers, we had heat number 1. It's time. The final moments of the final race of the night. It's AMX 10. There's $601 on the line. And as we go racing for our rolling start here, it's Fabio Zamperlini and Connor Healy line up on the front of the grid.
Yep, Healy will be looking to recover after that one, but he did show the pace in qualifying, so he's back up to where he really wants us. Oh, even in the warm-up there, Belzidi manages to hit somebody. Facundo Rago got spun out, so the Reese's Pieces car really put someone else to pieces.
Hey, I'm going to ask a question, like an illegal question here, Amir, and I hope you have an answer for me. So, if you're on the formation lap or on the rolling start, and a driver spins out, and you overtake that driver. Okay, anyway, I don't know what happens there. It's going to be a lot to watch out for. So let's keep an eye on what happens as we head around the track. In theory, work with me here, Amir, right? In theory, you know how our cars get to the grid, right? They just like appear. So if you crash out on the rolling lap, shouldn't it be possible for you to just like pop back into where you were?
Yep, he did. You can see Rago is actually back in front of Belzidi, so the game actually helps out that time. Sorry, not game, the sim actually tells you need to get back into your position. So that's why Belzidi just backed it off. It might have been an honest mistake. He was trying to weave his tires, but you can see there's Rago back in position. No harm done there, for now at least.
Exactly, but for moments, in a few moments, there will be quite a bit of harm done, Amir. We are absolutely going to see the worst thing you've ever watched, also the most beautiful thing you've ever watched. Watch this, mark my words, we're about to hit the green flag, and there's just going to be like small thermonuclear explosions in the backfield. Let's check it out here. We are getting to wave it, and there we go. The green flag is out, and we are racing for heat number 2 of AMX 10 Race 25. NASCAR Next Gen cars here on the Talladega Super Speedway, spreading out 3 wide. No such thing. Everything, all the race for as we see Soria climbing up. Zamperlini now in first. The pack condensing, and this is where it's most dangerous. We have 2 cars spinning out towards the back, one maintaining that top speed, and I believe that might be Resenge really making a big return into the pack. Let's see if we can keep things safe as we go 4, sometimes 5 wide. How thick is this track, Amir? It doesn't get much better than this. We've just got everybody all gridded up. Look at this, immaculate. It's like I don't know, Hollywood Squares. Oh, some bumping in the middle, but all of our cars managing to find the forward direction.
And there you can see Resende actually tandeming up with Victor Miranda, so it's the reverse, roles reversed from the previous race where Miranda was the one that actually tandem drafted with Resende, but it looks as though they don't have enough speed for now to actually make up that advantage that they should have had. Lost a couple of positions there because Soria, and it looks as though it's Ramos in between who was actually drafting each other. So the two Iberians getting together then to help out. Now it's a four-way in between with Zamperlini pushing Troiano up in front. So really then, a few different tandem buddies are forming right now.
This is such a cool start. And this is really what you expect. It's the final race of the night. It's AMX 10, so there's $600 on the line, and it's your final shot at that cash. We've had double reverse grid, so in theory, if you qualified well, you've got a chance to make it back up again. And as we see the coolest camera angle on the track by far, racing around these tri-oval corners. Oh my God, it just looks and sounds gorgeous, Amir.
Absolutely. With the sound of V8s in full symphony around Talladega is just a sight to see. And this is where the cars are really at full pelt. Oh, Soria gets taken out by Valero and nearly triggers a big one. Soria, that's it. That's his race gone. There's no way he's going to be back in the draft. And a bit of afters afterwards. Casacorta's involved. And it looks as though Gaspar, Mora, a couple of the Tony Kanaan cars are involved as well. So that has broken up the field just a bit. And that would definitely be spreading them out a bit more.
Yeah, wow, how do you even spread things back to set things right? We had the bottom half of our racers just instantly deleted. That's why you can see all the pit lanes popping up there as they head back, get the repair on. But that means that there's money to race in from the pits. We got to pay out to the top 15, and if you can get back out on the track quickly enough, that money could be yours. Let's see what our racers do as they finish up their repairs, head out of the pit lane and back onto Talladega to see what their races can look like. Well, we are racing nose to nose, head to tail there in the top 3, top 4. Gael Valero, 800ths behind Zamperlini, absolutely on his tail, and perhaps looking to make up a spot here in just a second. Now, I can't do it in the corner, but oh man, it's getting tense. And yeah, trying to go too fast to the outside, the downside there causes a 1, 2, 3, 4 car mix up, and actually the purple livery just sliding out himself trying to get in on the action.
He actually hit the apron there and unfortunately lost control, and it started because of Gael Valero incidentally, who was in P3, who tapped Soria, and that just triggered the concertina effect where everyone just bunches up.
We should just keep this picture-in-picture crash replay playing for the rest of the race. It's so like, you need to hear that dun 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 dun. Yeah. Oh man, just music to my ears. Probably nobody else's, but that's my privilege. Either way, Troiano, Zamperlini, Valero, your top 3 right now. That's why we're watching them and seeing exactly what it looks like to be up in now a much smaller pack of 4. Down there on the bottom, spinning around lap 6 of 18. So we're going to do 2 more of these and see where things lie. But by and large, it is still a very, very impressive showing from the guys on the top half of the grid. We got Connor Healy, a guy that usually finishes bottom half. He's up here and he's holding, doing a great job, even though he does have Punarago a couple seconds back. Top on board Gael Valero and see what he is up to in 3rd place, as he is just once again mere hundredths, thousandths behind Fabio Zamperlini, contesting absolutely for that top 2 spot.
Gabriel Ariel there just playing fifth fiddle in this one because he is actually a lap behind these guys, so he's just only in there for the draft. But talking about the picture-in-picture, especially when the crashes happen, I was thinking more of Air on the G-string by Bach when it happens, It's just cars flipping out in the air, like, into the fences. It's just a sight to see, but of course, if you're a driver there, you do not want to see those replays. It's just pain.
I was thinking of the Verve's Bittersweet Symphony, right? Where you got it like slow motion racecraft. That's what's going on. In fact, I'm going to make a special... Now we're going to get copyright struck for that. Anyway, imagine it in your heads, guys. That's what it's the experience we're striving for here tonight. We're still watching Gael Valero, right? This is where the action's at. The top three looks so much fun. It's so tense. It's so action-packed. And you do have actually slower or faster lap times from the cars behind. They're getting that draft. They're making their way up the field and really condensing things, even though we did have kind of a dust-up there in our first opening laps. So we hop on board Eric Troiano. We're seeing what he can do in the lead. He is facing some lapped cars coming up in front of him, so it's not an ideal situation for him to be in. But still, you can see he is absolutely in control. Calm, cool, collected, and not freaking out. You really just got to keep that steering wheel tilted the right way. He's doing a great job at it.
And he's happy to know that it's a fellow Brazilian right behind him, so at least he can work together with Zamperlini to maintain that advantage that he has up in front. But the tandem is actually getting bigger because it looks as though that was Gaspar going further behind Gabriel Ariel as well. So they're creating a 6-car drive. These guys just want the drive so that they could at least gain back some time they lost from the earlier incidents. The key point to know is they cannot interfere with the top 4. That's what's happening, and there you go. Case in point, Miranda's going to drop behind this particular queue, and it's going to become a tandem of 7 cars battling here, but not for the lead of the race. As you can see, the car going onto the apron, that is Caio Gaspar. Gaspar gets ahead of Ariel this time around, using the draft to his advantage, but not for actual position. Just position between himself and Ariel, but not for position further up the field.
Oh man, this is starting to get intense as we breach the halfway mark here. We've got Troiano maintaining that first place spot. We hop on board with Connor Healy, see what he's got going on. He is in a great position, one I hope he maintains. This would be his finest standing, his finest finish of AMX 10 this season. Really, really impressive to see such strong performance here on the day. And really, honestly, today we have seen just like shocking, not like upsets, but uncharacteristically strong performances from a lot of faces we're not used to seeing up there in the top half. So really big, stepping up from our drivers here. It's the end of the season, and they're really starting to put up some of the best performances all season long. So let's see what we have to watch out for, right? We're just watching packs of cars zoom around in a circle. It's just as fun as it would be if you were there in person. Maybe 1% less because we are watching it. But the sounds, the sights, they all look exactly as you would expect here. And where's the action going to be at here, Abir? I think we've really just slotted into our final racing lines.
Yeah, especially that Healy, though. He looks as though he wants to bide his time right now because he knows that he is in the best position possible to just get up to the front. We saw just now how Belzidi and Ariel nearly got up to the win of the race, but if not for Jackson Resende masterclass in defense to prevent that from happening. Healy is trying to probably conjure up the same thing here, but probably again towards the end of the race where he'll try to break away from the guys behind, keep this draft up, and try to at least get up to the podium, because hopefully it will happen for you, because this definitely will be a story for the season, of course. The perennial back marker, shall we say, for the Australian has finally turned good when it really counted.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where it really counts. The top 3 is absolutely within his reach. And I think we are absolutely going to see exactly what you somewhat clairvoyantly predicted, Amir. And that is that when it's time, it is really going to be time. You're going to see a 5 wide crossing wheel to wheel across the finish line. It's going to be absolutely epic. So let's watch how we get there to what is almost inevitable. We did have a place being made up there as Turner from nowhere, from downtown. Turner is on a plus 11 run, Amir. This guy really struggled. He won and in qualifiers, and now all of a sudden, he's drinking MJ's secret sauce.
Oh, he had a Kool-Aid along the side as well for good measure, but he's really busting right now, and he is not even in that particular tandem. He is actually behind the draft of State, so he's actually behind his fellow countrymen right there. So they're actually putting the NASCAR move to good use. And look, they're actually separate from the others. They're going to go a bit high because the other drivers are going very low. It might work out for them because they're in that middle line. The middle group there will definitely be faster for them. In fact, they go even higher. They're on the high side now. Going to struggle a bit, but the exit out of that banking will definitely help them out big time.
Oh my God. This is so intense, so tight. I thought, what I was just finished saying, that we were just going to see this one long caterpillar inching its way across the finish line. But no, we are fattening up. Chrysalis mode engaged, spreading our butterfly wings as we really reel in our final 4 laps here. The metamorphosis completing before our very eyes, Amir, and this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful thing to witness, and I love it. I cannot get enough. Eric Troiano once again maintaining, but for how long? And right as I talk about how beautiful things look, we get right back into that inchworm moving ever so slowly, inevitability across the finish line for 4 more laps.
Yep, and the fact that we have actually lost one guy in that picture. You notice that there's no white car between the number 33 Exalted car? That's because Guy Valero has actually dropped out. So now Healy is actually on the podium, but he's got a clear shot at the win here. He needs to do what Fabio Zampolini and Belzini were doing. What Fabrizio Belzini was doing previously. He used the draft almost to the end of the race, get a slingshot out of the final corner to actually battle for line. Unless, of course, Troiano took some lessons from Jackson Resende and blocked it right to death. Healy is definitely going to try to avoid being bolted there right at the line. But look at this. Top 3, Alvin Schade from Kudorago for good measure. He's not that far behind either. So, it is going to be another dead heat finish here, Reed.
Absolutely, Amir. No, this is going to be down to the wire. Now, you really have to, when you're talking about this choice move, when it comes down to the final seconds, you have to watch out for a couple things. First, it's oversteer. When you pull out and you make that big move, you got to make sure you don't go too wide and then have to correct for it. It's really, really tough, and so you absolutely might see carnage on the very last seconds of the very last lap of the race. So, I honestly, fast forward 2 laps for me, it's going to be insanity. And leading up to it's going to be insanity as well. Look at how close all of our racers are. We've got a front pack of 14 cars. I can't count that high, but I'll say that's a few. It's at least 7, potentially 12. This is the way we do math in 2023. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars. So great job, guys.
11 cars in the gaggle there. Really, really fun. And some of these guys aren't even betting for the win because they're back markers. All the while, they're mixing with the guys in front. And Turner is up to P4. What a run for Randall Turner there. He is actually also going to aim for a podium here at Reed.
He is absolutely gunning for it. Healy and Turner on the rides of their lives. It doesn't get much better than this, Severe, as we close out our final laps here. The white flag about to wave. Barney's getting it unfurled and ready to go for what is going to be an electrifying finish for NASCAR Next Gen Cars here on Talladega. It's heating up here as we go racing for our final time, and it feels like I'm in virtual reality here as I watch Randall Turner using the powers of the future here and all of his, science fiction superpowers to make the race of his life happen. He is up into P3, and with 4,000ths of a second, he's up into P2. He's doing it before the last lap. He's making his moves count, and he's doing it right now. P1! Oh! Turner, no! Oh, I jinxed him too much, but he's caught it back. He's got it back. He's not over yet. He's still in 5th. The top 5, the answer is here. Does he have it? He's still in P5, but now seconds back. A dust up in the final curves. No! Amir!
But the race is still on though. Race is still in front, and look at that. Ramos, out of nowhere, he was in P7 earlier. Now he's up to P1. Zampolini's behind. Healy's unfortunately lost the draft. This is going to be a 2-horse race here between Zampolini and Ramos, unless, of course, they both take each other right at the line, and that gives Healy the way. But I think Ramos might have held on to that one. He is absolutely gunning it. He's going to take his 5th victory of the season, and what a way to do so. Or does he? Zampolini's around the outside, and he's got a draft further behind. He's going to take it. Zampolini takes it by the line, by the biggest of margins here, because he got an extra bump boosted across the line, and Healy takes 2nd place for his best ever result. What a final lap, Reed.
Absolutely incredible to see the way this transpired, Amir. And look at what's coming through. We still have racing going on here right here. We've got Villarreal and Dornella still racing for it. And actually, I think Villarreal might have an angle here. He's trying to go for it. Dornella, 5, 4, 3, hundreds, thousands. He gets him. He pips him to the line. Dornella squeezes into 7th for $2 extra. Wow, really, really impressive way to finish things out there. Talladega, not disappointing at all. What an incredible way to finish out our time at, like you said, the most electrifying speedway in America. Look at our poor little guys inching across the finish line. Oh, you hate to see it, but it is still an immaculate race for us today, Amir. Really exciting to see NASCAR delivering in such a big way.
Absolutely. The one thing I'm just a bit sad at, we didn't get to see double, triple, triple crown, but you won it twice in the same day. Then it unfortunately finishes outside of the top 10. But in consolation, we were treated to an absolute barnstorm of a finish. And there's a guy in inside, Fabio Zampolini, with a well-timed bump draft from a driver behind. I think it was Victor Miranda. So Miranda helped out his fellow countryman big time there. And that in turn helped him to finish by about 0.4 of a second when Ramos lost the draft and lost it to Connor Healy and Ryder Depth. So an absolutely topsy-turvy podium read.
Fabio Zamperlini up in front. Man, if you showed me the way that the roster looked going from the reverse grid in Heat 1 into Heat 2, I absolutely no possible way would I have predicted the way that this ended right here. Randall Turner, man, I don't know where that guy came from or what he put in his gas tank for Heat 2, but he was on pace to make another one of these last to first runs happen. Unfortunately, it was not to be. We do have a lot of things to look at after that race. Always NASCAR gets a little bit physical, the hand-to-hand combat out in force today, and we did have that really big issue towards the end that unfortunately ended Randall Turner's race, but still exciting to see new racers coming out, racing, showing us what they got, and clearly that is a lot. Some really incredible drives today, Amir.
Absolutely, and I think running out of steam right now to just finish off what was an incredible pair of races in Talladega. Yet, I don't know why people complain about why NASCAR doesn't deliver nowadays, but when you get racing like that, when it goes close to the line right at the death, it's why oval racing, especially in stock cars like those, are worth the ticket of admission to come through and watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm like already writing my appeal to change the rest of the races this season in NASCAR. I mean, obviously, it is still really exciting to watch, and especially for our street circuit in Chicago for our AMX Zero race. You really got a chance to see a little bit of the full gamut of possibilities when it comes to racing these next-gen NASCARs. So much excitement today, especially in the final heat of our final race of the night in AMX 10. Really couldn't ask for much better than that. So that's going to do it for our race portion. We're about to head out to our first interview, so stick around. We'll have our first interview of the night coming up here in just a second. Well, welcome Fabio Zamperlini to not your first interview. How do you feel? You just won that final heat on Talladega. How do you feel?
It's amazing, mate. It's so crazy this race. Lucky to not be involved in any crash. And in the last lap, Troiano was in front of me, and the guys with lap down go down and crash him. I lost the first position to Gerardo, but in the end I can take it again and won the race.
I think nice. At the very end, I think it might have been maybe Victor Miranda who bumped you and pushed you forward right at the end.
Yes, he tried to help me because he did this movement in the lap before and tried to help me in the end. And it was so lucky for me that he decided to help me.
Well, you might want to, send him, send him some PayPal money after that one. Really exciting way to finish that. Do you have experience racing on ovals or racing NASCAR?
I tried in the beginning of my career here, but it's not my best way. There is a lot of crash. It's hard to drive with the guys in the United States because the net code that we have here. So, but it's amazing the race. The car running over than 300 kilometers an hour, close, so close, and it's amazing. But it's hard to us to drive with the latency that we have.
Well, for a lot of those races, the top 10 racers were all Brazilians. So you must be doing something right. I know that in Brazil, they have Brazilian stock cars, and that's a little bit similar. But what are some of the big differences about racing NASCAR next-gen cars?
This car has a lot of more power. The Brazilian stock car, it's there is less power, and it's hard to turn. I was not able to participate in the last race in Chicago, but it's amazing to drive this car in Chicago because there is a lot of power. We need to control the throttle all the time, and it's so hard to brake. Here in Talladega, we don't have to brake, so it's easier to run. But the gap between the cars, it's too close, so it's different here in Oval than the street races.
Well, congratulations on your win in heat number 2, and good luck moving forward. We hope to see you back here again soon, Fabio.
Thank you, guys. Amazing. See you.
All right, it's time for our second interview of the day. And so for the first time, I want to welcome Connor Healy to our interview stage. Connor, welcome. You had a pretty good day today.
Hello, how are you? I'm good. Yeah, it was pretty surprising. I wasn't expecting that at all. Yeah, it happened.
It did. So,
Yeah.
A lot of people might have seen you racing around the 10th to 15th kind of back of the pack. So how did you find out about AMX, and what is your racing background that got you to where you are today?
Well, I actually came across the stream on YouTube. That's how I found out about it. And I was originally playing on Gran Turismo. So I was started on Gran Turismo from about 2019, 2018. Only starting to get into iRacing in the last few months, so pretty new to iRacing, but so it's going good.
Well, you seem to be having a lot of fun with it today. How did you get into sim racing in general?
Well, I guess it was I think it was the moment when I saw the the Gran Turismo Championships. That's when I wanted to give it a go, and I was able to actually qualify for a few events, and that's how I became really into sim racing. But before then, I was always into cars and just playing racing games and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you are from the islands in the ocean, far away from everything else. What is sim racing like down under? Do you find that you have either difficulty competing in international tournaments, or what's the sim racing scene like down there?
Well, there are some local tournaments. There are some domestic. I'm in Australia, so there is some Australian domestic tournaments. I know there's some on iRacing, but I haven't done any of those yet. There is a few domestic Gran Turismo championships as well, but I mainly been just doing the official championships on Gran Turismo.
Yeah, and that was my last question for you. What are you competing in now? Do you have any goals that you'd like to achieve with your sim racing career?
I'm not too sure yet. I would just like to see where it takes me. I'm going to be continuing on iRacing because I'm having a lot of fun on it. It's quite a different step in a more I guess realistic direction, and yeah, I'm just going to see where it takes me, and I'm having a lot of fun on AMX, and I'm trying to find my ground basically. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, we're certainly very happy to have you. Congratulations on your best performance ever in AMX today.
Thank you.
Hopefully it just keeps getting better from here.
Thank you so much.
Wow, great to hear from Connor Healy and Fabio Zamperlini. Some really cool stories coming through in today's races. For Connor, coming from GT and then finding his way through watching our YouTube stream into now his best placement ever in AMX. A really cool success story. And then for Fabio, he's been here so many times now. Just a perfect combination of events getting him to a Heat 2 win in AMX 10. $40 coming his way, and a lot more than that on the day. So some really amazing races here today, Amir.
Absolutely. And I think this is probably the happiest podium I can think of, because the guys that have experienced this for the first time ever, and they are just going through emotions that for them, they're probably just about to grasp that they've just done it. So really, then they're over the moon, they're psyched. So couldn't be more happier for the both of them to be interviewed here today and see the raw emotions still going on.
Yeah, really exciting to see so much excitement. And really, that's what racing is all about, right? You have this passion for racing in the back of your mind. You decide to do something about it. You put your pedal to the metal. You get out there and race in some tournaments. And things like this truly can happen. Love the enthusiasm of our racers. Even the guys we didn't get a chance to watch, you could see there's a lot of excitement for being out here on the track today. That's AMX, and it's been great to see so many of these racers compete all season long. Now, our season is winding up, and so you don't have much time left to get out here and compete to race with us in the rest of the AMX Season 3 races. So if you want to do that, make sure to head on over to amxrace.com, where you can sign up and catch any other information. We've got a full rules book over there. We've got a lot more updates coming through, some final sneaky announcements at the end of the season, so you do not want to miss it. If you want to stay tuned to all of the announcements, highlights, info, everything about AMX, make sure to follow us on social media. You can see the links right down below your screen on Twitter and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you there. You can also join the official AMX Global Discord server, which you can do by clicking on the link on our website, amxrace.com, or just by searching AMX Global Discord. That'll get you there too. Also, we'd love to see you back here watching us from wherever you are. Just like Connor Healy said, he was watching us one day, he signed up to race, and now he's finishing in the top 5. So really, really exciting to see that turnaround. And you can watch us on Twitch and YouTube, and we'd love to see you follow or subscribe to us on either one of those platforms. Really appreciate your support. And last but not least, amxrace.com is the place to sign up. We have a limited number of races left until the end of the season. It's going down to the wire towards the middle to end of December, so we do not have much time left. amxrace.com is the place to sign up. We add new races all the time, so get over there, and we'd love to see you racing in the remainder of AMX Global League Season 3. Oh, okay, I think that's it. Amir, thank you so much for joining me on behalf of Amir, myself, everyone behind the scenes, our racers, our viewers, and everyone in between. Thank you so much for being a part of AMX Global League Season 3 this season. We got a lot more races coming up this weekend. We'll see you then.